mission on our own conditions. Most blacks with money have been beaten to submission. Yeezy with the big house did it way different. Never listen to Hollywood producers. Don't stare at money too long, it's Medusa. The ultimate Gemini has survived. I wasn't supposed to make it past 25.
Yeah, you're looking at the church in the night sky, wondering where God's gonna say hi. Oh, you're looking at the church in the night sky, and you wondering where's God in your nightlife. Yeah, you're looking at the church in the night sky, wondering where God's gonna say hi. God, yeah, I feel like I'm on there.
I've awakened the spirits of millions more to come. 1 million illegally downloaded my truth over the drums. I believe in the children. Listen to the kids, bro. If the phone ringing, go and get your kids. So Brother Don Muhammad told the minister about the presentation. He sat back and smiled. Black on black lies is worse than black on black crime. The Jews share their truth on how to make a dime. Most black men couldn't balance a checkbook, but buy a new car talking about how my neck look. Well, it all looks great. 400 years later, we buying our own chains. The light is before us, brothers, so the devil working hard. Real families stick together and see through the mirage. The smoke screens, perceptions of false reality. Who the real owner if your boss gets a salary? I am one with the people. I am one with the people. I've been woken from a light and man's dream, checking Instagram comments to crowdsource my self-esteem. Let me not say too much or do too much, cause if I'm up way too much, I'm out of touch. I'm praying an out-of-body experience will happen, so the people can see my light. Now it's not just rapping. God, I have humbled myself before the court, dropped my ego when confidence was my last resort. I know you got a plan, I know I'm on your beams. One set of footsteps, you was carrying me. When I turned on the news and they was burying me. One set of footsteps, you was carrying me. When I was negotiating with Apple, it was Larry and me. Told Tim Cook to call me, I was scary to see. I would've took 100 million and gave 20 to Hove. I heard it's the way they did it when we only had the stove. But it's better that I stayed at home with my folks, cause if Jay a billionaire, then I'ma never go broke. Only thing I ask is next time I'm on stage, we all go. We all go. Not just by myself, looking for niggas like where's Waldo. She got the same shoes as my wife, but she copped them at Aldo. Modern day MJ with an off-the-wall flow.
Night light, walk all over me. Walk all over me. I'm delivering everything I've ever said to your brain. Fly, fly, fly overseas. Fly overseas, oh. Anywhere, everything but in between. Yeah, you're looking at the church in the night sky, wondering where God's gonna say hi. Oh, you're looking at the church in the night sky, and you wondering where's God in your nightlife. Yeah, you're looking at the church in the night sky, wondering where God's gonna say hi. Oh, you're looking at the church in the night sky, and you wondering where's God in your nightlife. Please face me when I speak. Please say to me something before you leave. You've been treating me like I'm invisible, not visible to you. Oh, the invisible truth stays sober. I don't quite understand the games you play. Understand, I'm standing under oath, and I promise I wouldn't fall anymore. But I'm crying at the bar. I wishing that you saw my scars, man. I wishing that you came down here and stood by me and look at me like you knew me. But I feel so loved, like I don't know anyone except the night sky above. Yeah, you're looking at the church in the night sky, wondering where God's gonna say hi. Oh, you're looking at the church in the night sky, and you wondering where's God in your nightlife. Yeah, you're looking at the church in the night sky, wondering where God's gonna say hi. Oh, you're looking at the church in the night sky, and you wondering where's God in your nightlife.
dreams come true. And I wonder if you know what it means.
What the fuck, dude? Why did nothing load? I wonder what the huge D-roll... Why the fuck did nothing load, actually? There we go. I wonder what the huge D-roll will be this time. Probably nothing. There's really nothing going on right now, I guess. I mean, Boblax is back. I don't really care about that, though. I'm like on a one-track mind right now. I'm really focused on one story and one story only, which is what I'm gonna research the hell out of it. Running back and forth type shit. I mean, I guess we could do some like random filler bullshit for the beginning here. Let me get my fucking I got my notes up. Let me get what was I thinking again? Oh yeah. Let me get my fucking eugenics. Let me get my eugenics music up. Eugenics Moon OST. I need the full. There it is. Dude, you can go to the fucking Moon and Eugenics. I need to start playing that game again. It's so time consuming. Hold on. There you go. All right, let's see. All right, good background music on the way. What are we doing right now? What the fuck is going on in Clip Live? I want to see if Nicholas Dorian said anything about this, like, denim shit. Doesn't seem like he has. I know he's streaming right now, but it doesn't seem like he's even said anything there either. So I guess we'll see what's going on. It's just all fucking Lego bullshit. I don't want to rub it in too hard because I don't hate the guy, but at the same time, where are the Instagram stories from Ethan about the Denims lawsuit? Bro usually spams like 50 of them when big stuff involving him happens. Yeah. Boogie moment from Boblax. I never did. I never begged Ethan and his audience to save me from bankruptcy and to fund my fleshy business. Call them homeless is crazy. I'm pretty sure most people would probably 180 if they were, like, you know, severely aggrieved by somebody. But this is, like, completely unsurprising. Why do people think that this is, like, some of the biggest fucking, like, you know, surprising things? I'm so over the blah 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 blah. This guy did minor thing, blah 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 blah. You know, he would have fucking hypocrite bullshit. I just the more like drama shit happens, the less and less I care about, like, the fucking repetitive nonsense. Like, yeah, people are gonna be hypocrites. Like, at least on a minor scale, I don't really give a shit. Bruce Rivers will be covering this. All right, don't care. H3 has tentatively lost 2 denims. All right, this will be irrelevant here. The judge cited Sargon's case as to reasoning why denims transported. Here's a full ruling. I'll wait for Luce's opinion. But how will this affect bricks and minifigs? All right, dude. All right, dude. A good one. Good fucking deflection. Good pivot. This judgment is specifically regarding the nuke right. She got sued for the countdown video as well, and the reaction was like 100 times worse than the nuke reaction, which is technically fair use. I have no idea. I'm not reading all that. Okay, good one. It's probably a good thing that Ethan lost here. The thing is, if Ethan won the case, it wouldn't have set the precedent he said he wanted to make. The bar for what could be suable content could still get more strict afterwards. I see this outcome as making it much harder for creators like Dioria to get sued for copyright. It feels like only after Ethan Klein actually managed to get sued, people have, like, started, you know, having this opinion vocally en masse, which is a good part of the which is a good, like, you know, narrative structure that I want to, like, build upon. I don't think a lot of people really noticed that, like, subconsciously they were probably not rooting for Ethan Klein. Like what I want to set out to prove more specifically is, like, how everybody fell for, like, the Ethan Klein industrial complex utilizing his, like, emotions as like an excuse for his behavior, right? Pretty easy thing to argue, but I wanted to make it, like, incredibly I want to make it, like, very, very immersive, if that makes sense. I want to, like, you know, include as much floating information. I completely missed the Lego shit. I've been passively paying attention to it. I don't give a shit about it. I just don't know. It's just not that interesting to me. I mean, I guess there's some criticisms that I could, like, that you could give the Reckless Ben guy, but I just don't. I just don't really care. I just don't really care that much about the. I mean, I guess the Reckless Ben stuff is, like, it's a good example of what YouTubers shouldn't do, like, not getting too personally involved in dramas. But I just don't fucking care. It's just like not that interesting to me anymore. So stuff like that. Maybe I'll be interested again in the future, but right now I mainly care about like the major stuff. And this is why you don't go flinging around lawsuits like it's nothing. It's more calculated than you think. Denims is facing 2 claims of copyright infringement. The reaction to the nuke and the countdown to the nuke. Comparatively, the other 2 ladies only face 1 claim, which just makes the reaction to the nuke. I think, yeah, but like, it's entirely possible that they could have won. Maybe not Frogan. I don't know, maybe not Caseytron either, because they literally did just restream the content with full intention of like just not, you know, with like, you know, siphoning viewership, right? So like, it's very, very difficult for any of the fucking pillars of fair use to have like been met in the first place, which is important to like read up on as well. I'll probably do that a little bit later, so that I can get like a full understanding of you know, reuse pillars. This is going to be part of the argument that I'm presenting. I think Ethan and his lawyer understood that Denims had the strongest case against a reaction to the nuke. That's why they added the other claim to the countdown, because a reaction, at least from what I heard, is non-existent. Nature of the copyright works is going to come into play for the countdown stream. Denims wasn't adding as much for the live stream as she did for the nuke, but the live stream also will be assessed less strictly due to the nature of the works. Yeah, that's true, but like, this is just bogus. This is just wrong. Denims wasn't adding as much for the live stream as she did for the nuke. The live stream will also be assessed. Yes. The nuke is going to be the nuke being a pre-recorded, prepared, edited video merits more protection from it than a shitter live stream. The judge found that Ethan failed to present how Denims React was a marking competitor for the nuke. That same logic will apply to the live stream as well. This decision is very bad sign for Ethan. It's come to pretend otherwise. It looks like this guy is actually on the money. I think that tentative decision that happened right now will heavily influence like an actual outcome, and it'll probably heavily influence like the second decision as well. I wouldn't be surprised, not that I know much about the law, I wouldn't be surprised if we had like incredibly quick, like, you know, resolution, like back to back, if that makes any sense. Like maybe we get a verdict on this one, and then the verdict on the second one is just like, you know, a lot easier to just like assume. But I might be wrong, of course. I'm not a lawyer, which is why I want to, like, you know, read up. You were wrong. The concept of the copyrighted work is a major piece of the puzzle. Okay. A VOD versus a video doesn't make it any more or less protected. I don't think the verdict will be the same for the second claim because their commentary, or lack thereof, was significantly different, significantly less transformative. How do you determine that, though? Right? Because, like, I imagine that a judge in a situation like this isn't going to, like, really set, you know, a bar for how transformative something has to be. I believe that it more so has to be, like, more, I want to say, has to be more generalized than that in order for there not to be, like, significant abuse of, like, what can pass as transformative work and what can pass. Because there are things that are protected for fair use, like general criticism. You are allowed to, like, take clips from videos in full, like maybe 3 to 4 minute videos, and just, like, you know, post them on Twitter and, like, give criticisms or, like, you know, offer context for, like, news cycle. That is protected under fair use. So, like, what do you mean? What is, like, I would call clipping on Twitter with, like, a witty caption to be infinitely less transformative than even, like, you know, a fucking sensitive society video, right? But it's still protected under fair use. It's still very much protected under, like, you know, news and media. Like, under the same clause that, like, news and media outlets are protected under. Otherwise, you'd see a lot of, like, you know, news outlets and tabloids get fucking, you know, sued all the goddamn time for taking, like, you know, full 2-minute, 3-minute clips from YouTubers or pieces of work to, like, add commentary to it, or to add, like, you know, a summary to it, blah, 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 blah. You're wrong. The concept of the copyright works is a major piece of the puzzle, and works that original and creative, think narrative films, music, yeah, merit more protection under copyright than informative, utilitarian works, think documentaries, essays. I cannot be bothered to go find the case law to support my arguments right now. I'm right, and you can take it or leave it. And I just keep coping. This guy's based and W-pilled. The genius legal minds on here went on and on about how important intended is to copyright, and how saying they were going to which party was actually the smoking gun, and how did that work out for you? Yeah, because in retrospect, to say that intent was a smoking gun, which is what still people are utilizing as a cope, is fucking stupid. Because why does intent matter to, like, create a market? Why does intent to create a market replacement matter? If the transformation of the project or the transformation of the piece ended up being, like, a completely different, you know, product in and of itself that appealed to a completely different market, therefore making it difficult to, like, you know, prove like you know, any form of damages, or making it difficult to prove that it was actually going to be something that was going to replace the original work outright. There's no evidence of that. It couldn't have ever, unless the damage was incredibly significant, that was just never going to end up happening. Like, I need like Pisco coverage of this. It's probably what I need to do. Let me fucking DM somebody. Let me DM somebody real quick. Hold on. All right. Sure, pal, keep coping. We'll see if the judge agrees. It was so drastically different that didn't took everything away from E3. Yeah. My ADHD has kicked in. I'm going to try and explain my comment again to you in case it wasn't actually clear and you actually aren't retarded enough to think that's unlikely. My first point being that Denham's nuke reaction will be looked at with more strict interpretations of infringement, because in the spirit of copyright law, the nuke is worthy of more protection than a shitter live stream. This goes to my next point, that in the tentative ruling, the judge is saying Ethan did not present any persuasive arguments to say Denham's reaction took away views from him. Instead, he decided to argue, that Denham's audience is so extreme, and the opposite of him, that they would morally be against ever giving him views. He made the argument they would only watch Denham's and that they wouldn't be watching Ethan instead, because they would never watch Ethan, period. This is admitting that Denham's reaction content is not impeding on his own, because she is adding enough. No one would tune in for it just to see Ethan. They're watching because they want Denham's coverage. These are two different markets in the market watching Denham's to see Denham's coverage of the nuke, would not be interested in just seeing the original nuke, yeah. So it would be really difficult to prove that intent matters in a situation like this, because it would have never infringed on any sort of market replacement in the first place. Because they could easily just go do that. The video is freely available on his channel. They are actually interested in what Denham's has to add. Interesting. Good argumentation. With all this, why the fuck would you think for the countdown to the nuke it would be different? Denham's viewers want to see Denham's coverage because she's adding fair use commentary, and that is what the audience wants to see. If those viewers want to just watch the countdown live stream, they would be doing that. This tentative decision is only around the nuke, but the logic and how the judge is interpreting the law and being pretty assertive in finding Denham's data substantial enough is unlikely to be all that different for the live stream. You can continue to cope and say she was just sitting there and added nothing, but you said the exact same thing for a reaction to the nuke, and the judge disagrees with that. So I don't know why the fuck you think the judge is going to change their tune so drastically and find the opposite for the live stream. Yeah, it seems like the this tentative ruling or this tentative decision might just like roll over into the live stream, which is going to be a less, you know, have a much, you know, smaller standard for infringement. We'll see though. We shall see. Naive take. Okay. Disappointing, I guess. Disappointing, but I guess it makes sense. Sargonship was also legal. Why does YouTube even enforce copyright if watch parties are okay? What a fucking moron, because they legally have to. They legally are required to do so. Why does YouTube even enforce copyright? YouTube doesn't really necessarily... like, that's the fucking stupidest thing. What a fucking idiot. What a fucking stupid bitch. What a stupid bitch retard. YouTube doesn't necessarily enforce copyright. I guess would be the correct way of like laying it out. YouTube doesn't necessarily enforce copyright. Rather, what they do is that they give you the tools to be able to enforce your own copyright by giving you the ability to DMCA somebody if your content ID shows up on like a flag system, so that you yourself can enforce your own intellectual property. It's not YouTube that enforces it for you. It is you know, people that enforce their own intellectual property, right? So for people that don't understand how it works, is that if you produce something, right, and you upload it to YouTube, your content will be registered using a system like you're the metadata of the video, and your content will be registered using the YouTube, you know, system, and it'll like you know, make an ID of it, right? That's where content ID comes from. It'll like be able to detect your content. So if anybody like takes it and like doesn't modify it, you'll get like a notice on your dashboard, on your YouTube dashboard, telling you that you this much amount of your work was being used. And then you yourself get to view and see if like your intellectual property was being infringed upon, and then you can DMCA somebody if you so choose, right? Most of the time, people would rather just not take it to court, so they just like avoid it. It's not YouTube enforcing it; it's just YouTube giving you the tools to be able to like enforce your own intellectual property. That's entirely up to the person. Better question: Better question would be why Ethan decided to file an actual suit instead of just using the well-established platform tools to DMCA takedown, because it wasn't on YouTube. I don't know what type of like tools Twitch has for like DMCA reports or like, you know, DMCA abuse and whatnot. We'll see. I guess it's irrelevant, so there's no point in getting lost in that rabbit hole. They're the same thing. More unsafe harbor makes it so when you DMCA takedown, you're threatening to sue someone for DMCA without the platform getting involved. In fact, the way you're suggesting it is far more cowardly and generally frowned upon, because that means you aren't willing to legally back your threats. Is this guy retarded and just doesn't understand how these systems work? This person just doesn't understand how these systems works. Getting your YouTube video taken down is actually more malicious than filing a long, drawn-out, expensive court case. Yeah. I'm sure you think Dark Viper's a hero, but if you go through DMCA, you are threatening to sue someone. You can say that I'm coping, but that is the reality. Yeah, but like, if you threaten to sue somebody and they comply, then you already mitigate the issue without having to spend thousands of dollars and then have somebody else like spend thousands of dollars to like, you know, to like engage in a fucking lawsuit. How's a threat to sue worse than actually suing somebody? Yeah, because now they have to fucking lawyer up, or else they'll face like an immediate loss and potentially just lose outright. Ethan's lawsuit is good and based actually, but someone threatening to be just like him is bad. Bro, wipe the drool off your chin. Yeah, this guy's a fucking idiot. This guy's a moron. The way I understand it, H3's legal counsel still has a chance to argue against that. At least that's what I read on Twitter. Yes. If Denim, it's a tentative ruling, right? They have to go through oral arguments. If Denim wins this, however, I highly doubt that Ethan will have, based on everything that I've seen, Ethan will have like a very, very like strong, I mean, not strong. He will have a very, very weak performance in an oral argument. How is he supposed to argue that his like, intellectual property was infringed upon if most of the fucking like first drafts of his lawsuit ended up actually being counterintuitive? How is he supposed to ever argue about his own like contradictions? And Denim's wins this, however, goddamn, that will make the Frogan defaulting really funny in hindsight. Not really. Not really. People are just like throwing out ways to like still feel. People are just throwing out ways to like still feel excited about people they dislike taking L's, right? Which isn't a good thing. If there was a chance that Frogan did nothing wrong, and she was like punished and made to forfeit like hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages for no fucking reason, you should want that to be corrected. You should want that to be made right. Even if you heavily dislike the person, you shouldn't want somebody to be like, you shouldn't want somebody to be like heavily, what's the word? Like, plagued, aggrieved, misfortuned, whatever. You should not, even if you dislike somebody, if they don't deserve it, you shouldn't want them to face like, punishments that they don't deserve. You shouldn't want them to face like, hardships that they don't deserve. Big drama at the Gamescom. I sent you a summary of all the games releasing your Discord. Okay. Where? General? I'm gonna give you the fucking Nuki roll, bro. Alright, yeah, I could do a bit of a derail. Alright, you already have it. New games today are insane. It's a 1-minute video? Alright, bet. Okay, bro. All right, dude. You know what? All right, dude. Okay, dude. Nintendo on, or is it Nintendo Sun? Whatever. We already have this in the form of like an Android device. I would still get this if I could. I loved playing Wind Waker. I loved playing like all of the Legend of Zelda games in the Master Collection, I believe it was called. GameCube Legend of Zelda Master Collection, right? Collector's Edition, Master Quest. Yeah, it was a Master Quest disc. I remember having that with all the games on it and like the free trial for Wind Waker and what was it, Twilight Princess or something like that. I forget.
Nothing wrong with me. 3, nothing wrong with me. 4, nothing wrong with me. 1, something's got to give. 2, something's got to give. 3, something's got to give.
Xbox 720. I miss this era, dude. 18 years ago, dude. Fire. I mean, this is basically a PS5. Close enough. Close enough. Okay, I mean, close enough. This guy was a visionary, dude. Another PS4. All right, dude. Final PS4. All right, that's enough. That's enough of that. Back to the read up. Back to the read up. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it, bro. Twilight Prince, they got a piece report native. Really? You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're capping. Where do I find that? Is that what you were playing earlier? Where do I find that? Where do I find that, dude? Hold on, there's a free game. There's a free game on Steam called Remothered. I'm gonna install it just so I can play it. All right. Whatever. We'll see. How do you... Where do I find that? Runs at 4K, one check gen. Duskport.com? That's not... That's not a fucking virus, is it? Oh shit, that's badass. The independent guide to Dust Twilight Princess. Install on any platform, decide on which version to play, and track the progress of the walls. Yo, that's pretty fire. But I probably won't install it. Pretty apprehensive about stuff like that. Who is Monotonous? Or well, I guess that's the point of the stream. Monotonous, yes, it's a monotonous research stream. As in, like, you will be bored, right? You will be bored. This is more so for myself rather than for like streaming, right? If something interesting happens, fuck it, I'll change the title and I'll cover that. I wanted to cover like a little bit of the Trump stuff. For the most part, I'm just gonna be researching a script that I'm writing. Yes, monotonous. Yes, the word monotonous. But I thought it was the person who's named. What person is named Monotonous? Wait, that might actually be a fire name for a fucking channel. When Work is being ported soon, that's badass. Actually, pretty badass. If I can like get it to work, I'll play it on stream. I need to replay Twilight Princess. It's one of the only Zelda games that I never finished. It's one of the only like main 3D Zelda games that I never finished or fully got to play. A game that I never got to play fully was Skyward Sword, and Skyward Sword, like I remember watching playthroughs as a kid. I have like a Skyward Sword exists very close to my heart. I've seen channels named it before. That would be a fire, like, commentary channel name. Like, the way I understand it, H3's legal counsel still has a chance to argue against that. Okay. He didn't have the finance to actually fight the legal battle for a long time. Her reaction also was way more egregious than Denham's. Remember, she smoked more than she spoke. Yeah, but the only way that we actually know this is, like, it's through Ethan. We don't know. I don't know. Like, I reviewed Denham's. I reviewed Denham's coverage. I reviewed Denham's, like, coverage of the nuke. I never reviewed any of the other guys. Mainly because I couldn't find any, like, archives of it. Or that, or I just didn't try hard. Well, no, I definitely didn't try hard enough to find them. The Denham's one was the easiest one to find. I didn't give a shit for the other ones. Yes, it's a tentative ruling, meaning it's what the judge is leaning towards. But the judge wrote like 20 pages on why they think it was a fair use, so probably 90% chance that the ruling stands unless Ethan's lawyer can pull some crazy Hail Mary, which I doubt. Technically, Casey Tron didn't lose. He settled out of court to avoid legal bills. Yeah. She might still have lost, though. Hard to say, but the case would be decided on the merits. And so, well, he was praying that they would settle. I'm pretty sure that Ethan Klein was praying that Denham's would settle as well. I'm like starting to believe, or rather, that this might just be straight up obvious. It might just be legitimate. It might legitimately just be the case that Ethan Klein was just operating purely off of a fear factor, right? Hoping that they would like, settle preemptively, rather than like, be smart enough to understand that they might have a shot to take it all away, right? Now that's what I assume would be the case here. They probably all would have like made it out fine if they had like a good, lawyer, or if they all used the same lawyer to like argue their case for them. It's entirely possible based on like how much commentary they actually made, or how little they actually like withdrew, how little they actually like damage they actually did, blah 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 blah. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure even most people that are like very like most people that are more qualified than I am, that are like very interested in this case, probably haven't like looked at the ups and downs of Krogan and Casey Tron. I could be wrong though. Casey Tron didn't lose. There was no decision on the merits of the case. She chose to settle with Ethan out of court to avoid continued devastating financial impact. Casey Tron had the same exact lawyers that Denham's has right now. That's how you know how bad Casey Tron's commentary was. Because they urged her to settle with Ethan whilst they're willing to fight for Denham's. I mean, if this person is true, I can see that I could probably take that as face value. That's why he's suing IDubbbz. He knows it'll cause financial ruin. The thing is, I don't even think that Ethan is actually going to go through with suing IDubbbz. But it is very telling that he would go as far as to threaten and even consider like a legitimate possibility, or even consider like a legitimate suit in that direction, right? That's that. I'll try to incorporate that one way or another. One possible reason, and it could be that they thought both of their defenses had good chances to hold up in case he just has less money than Denim, so she weighed her options differently about going to a long dispute. Keyword tentative. It's a decision the judge will make if Ethan doesn't do anything else. This is cope and all you want, but it's no. It's very... okay. What is the likelihood of a tentative ruling actually, like, turning into a final verdict? What is the likelihood of a tentative ruling? How common is that? The likelihood of a tentative ruling becoming the final ruling is exceptionally high, generally estimated at 90% or more. While it is a preliminary assessment, judges rarely overturn their tentative decisions during oral arguments, unless a party presents a major previously unconsidered legal or factual error, which I just fucking highly doubt Ethan can do. Because all of the arguments that he actually drafted with his fucking lawyer, and probably took like months to do, ended up being like completely unsubstantial and meritless, right? It ended up being completely weak. Why are you suing somebody after intent if based on your description of like, you know, Denim's, you know, arguments, everything ended up being like completely transformative, right? Because, fuck, I might as well do this. I might as well just do this because it's going to end up becoming like relevant in my final, you know, production anyways. Hold on, let me take a look at this real quick. Whoa! Okay, dude. A breakdown of the second claim in Denim's lawsuit.
More than the original.
Ethan registered the countdown stream 2 months after the content nuke. He's chasing up to $150,000 on a stream he never even mentioned in his own announcement. Yeah, this was never about, well, yeah.
Runtime, which seems like a good amount to contribute to have proper commentary, right?
I fucking enabled a fucking feature that disabled YouTube Shorts on my fucking algorithm, but apparently, whoa. But apparently it just doesn't fucking work. Whatever, dude.
Right.
So again, by his own measure of what fair use is, Denim sufficiently transformed his video, which should mean she didn't really steal anything. So why then is Ethan still suing her? Ethan had a problem. He wanted to sue Denims, but as of right now, there really isn't that much legal precedent for full-length live React content like this, so it's pretty unclear whether Denim's reaction to the content nuke would legally be found to be an infringement on copyright, especially given the length and added commentary. And because Ethan couldn't know for sure, he decided to hedge.
Some of you guys out there sweating?
He didn't just...
That's literally what I was saying earlier. That's literally what I was sort of saying earlier. It's more like he just wanted to, you know, it's more so like he probably wasn't expecting this to go all the way, right? He probably was not betting on this going all the way whatsoever. So he probably, like, you know, just relied on pure fucking, like, you know, he probably prayed or hoped that fear is all it would take in a situation like this to make these people like default to a settlement rather than actually going all the way. I bet he never expected Denims to be that ballsy.
Registered the content nuke with the US Copyright Office. He also registered the countdown stream that led up to it on the H3 podcast, which Denims did watch live. And her reaction to this countdown stream is far less likely to fall under fair use.
Countdown stream, far less likely to fall under fair use. Countdown to Doomsday, 104 H3 show. That fucking nuke wasn't even that great in hindsight.
The day.
Use that soundboard.
Not listening.
Soundbite.
You're not listening.
Wait, if Ethan Klein just spends most of his time watching fucking TikToks and just doing, like, you know, commentary himself on content that doesn't even belong to him, right? Could you not use that as a legal argument? Could you not use that as a legal argument? Lolly and Joy Bosch. If he's just like fucking reacting to clips on stream, him himself just doing, like, you know, live reactions and transformative content, right? If Denims watches in full, giving like, you know, even small insubstantive commentary, is that not on its own like a fucking like double layer of like, who cares if she didn't like meaningfully transform any of your fucking live stream? Most of this shit is, you know, isn't even your own fucking content in the first place. What if this is his content? I would be willing to believe that maybe like, I'm willing to bet that like maybe 50%, 40% of this is his actual content, right? His actual own content. Okay, interesting angle. I need to verify with a professional. Though. Interesting. Like brief segments of him talking. Yeah.
Continues to thrive.
Oh boy.
What can I say, man? The internet is so insane.
Ethan Klein calls Markiplier a psycho after he blocked him.
Okay, wait. So if he's just reacting to other content, and Denims is like barely reacting to him reacting to other content, how could you meaningfully argue that this would be like, intellectual property theft? I'm like, but like for certain she'll probably win on both fucking counts. Almost certainly she'll end up winning for both counts.
The countdown stream that led up to it on the H3 podcast, which Denims did watch live, and her reaction to this countdown stream is far less likely to fall under fair use. But the problem is this countdown stream doesn't seem like it's what Ethan was talking about when he expressed wanting to protect people's content. In his announcement video, he repeatedly mentions long-form content and uses Lamino, whose video
Yeah, he was like, he probably wanted an introductory, right? Okay, so for him it would be introductory. So in this case, basically he's feigning like a serious like aggrievement, right? He's feigning being seriously damaged and harmed by Denims by saying that she stole a highly edited, very like protected piece of content, right? The reality, like she wanted to like plant that idea in people's heads to increase sympathy, which is important for my narrative piece. But since he knew this was like the weakest shot, he had to like sneak in the secondary one to see if he would win on that, because he could argue more that one was stolen. But even then, the bar for that would be like the bar to prove that would be practically fucking non-existent, because it's not even his own content for most of that fucking what's it called, live stream. I'm pinning this. I need to pin this. In message in Nuki chat. That I need. And let me retweet this on Twitter. Also, like he's ensuing XQC and other Sanders' case in court. Yeah, it shows that he's doing this selectively, right? And if a judge were to like take this into consideration and say that Ethan Klein is opportunistically like sending out lawsuits to people with the intent of like aggrieving them, then it heavily suggests that it wasn't or with the intent of like destroying them financially. It shows that Ethan Klein is more so pursuing this purely out of like court-based abuse. And I think that if he actually managed to sue iDubbbz, I think that based on research that I did, this might be completely incorrect. Based on research that I did, it's entirely possible that iDubbbz might actually not even have to go through with the defamation case. And it might, and like upon an initial appeal, it's entirely possible that his case might be dismissed entirely, because they might consider what Ethan is doing to be an opportunistic abuse of the legal system. Yeah, you can't just do it based on my vibes. It's like it's either none of it, either all of it is okay or none of it is okay, right? You can't just selectively pick and choose which one is more beneficial to you. It just shows that you're selectively abusing what benefits you. I'm pretty sure most courts in a situation like that wouldn't even bother to fucking like take your case seriously if that's the case. Hold on, I need to make a banger tweet. Hold on. He fully intended for these people to settle out of fear. Boom. Banger tweet and send. Banger tweet and send.
Videos likely take weeks or months to make, as an example of unfairness.
What if I could make a long-form, irresistible piece of content that I knew that these streamers couldn't resist, they couldn't avoid the
that's like intent to abuse the legal system?
temptation of watching it the second it was published.
So he's clearly making it sound like he's talking about video essays and things with high production quality, not some countdown stream. He specifically talks about Denims here as though she reacted to the content nuke itself with no commentary.
I knew they would watch the entire video, add little to no commentary. After being gone for a few minutes, she returns and then sits silently for another couple of minutes eating.
But he doesn't mention the countdown stream a single time. It's almost like he doesn't want you to realize that he's completely spite-driven and full of shit.
You're lying!
Maybe I am, so what?
And here's what makes that super obvious. Ethan didn't
lying through omission.
Didn't even register the countdown stream with the
This is a fire clip. This is a fire clip. There's a fire clip that'll work really well in my video. Fire clip that'll work really well in my video.
Sunset nuke back in January. He did it in March, 2 months later. What happened in March that would make Ethan want to be sure he could go after Denims?
That it seems like she's directly responsible for CPS coming to my house in the morning and interviewing my children.
Hold on.
These basically are not even really copyright lawsuits. It's quite obvious that Ethan just came up with a way to use the legal system against his personal enemies. Ethan is pursuing.
So like, so what happens now? Is a good question. Like, did we? Well, I feel like Ethan should be held, accountable for this. I feel like Ethan should be held liable for this, right? I think that Ethan should be forced to pay like restitutions to Denims. I feel like Ethan should be forced to make these people whole, since I'm pretty sure they had to pay out of they had to pay for all of these lawsuits purely out of pocket with like no external support.
Statutory damages, meaning his payout wouldn't be based on any actual lost revenue, but a fixed amount that the court decides upon, and could be up to $150,000. He's also asking for attorney's fees and prejudgment interest, just for good measure. Ethan claims that these lawsuits weren't about the money, and he did this to protect the wider commentary community.
Even though theoretically I could sue a lot more creators and rake in millions of dollars, the purpose of this is not financial gain. I don't want to chill the reaction community into fear. Actually, the opposite. I hope that we can all unite against this type of egregious behavior that not only makes us all look bad, but could destroy the commentary community as we know it.
But when he was able to point a dollar bill-shaped gun at Casey Tron's head and force her to say whatever he wanted, even his intellectual property became an afterthought. He was almost exclusively interested in humiliating her.
Okay, great. Yeah. This is all emotional. Right? He managed, Ethan Klein managed to emotionally manipulate an entire community of people, an entire culture on the internet, and an entire and gather like a fucking cult following that'll defend his endeavors, not because he actually was damaged, but because he made people believe that he was such a victim to these unfair behaviors against him. And that's just not the case. It's not true. He leveraged one situation, right? He leveraged one situation, CPS, to build a fucking like what's it called, emotional manipulation monopoly to his own gain, which managed to what's it called, compromise creators like Diorio. I feel like Diorio would have always been compromised one point or another given the right circumstances, so that's kind of irrelevant. But he managed to compromise all sorts of creators, especially the largest one on YouTube, who once upon a time were the ones to parade about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of liberty to produce whatever the fuck you want on YouTube without being legally threatened. Soon to be canned, more Pegasus is terrified of Azan. More Pegasus crash out will continue to dodge a direct invite from Azanabi.
Debate and call him a coward if he declines. Why would I debate? I'm not a political person. I don't give a.
Okay. I need to make a video on this too. Actually, and this would be a good slot video to produce. Pegasus is a fucking retard, first and foremost, right? You can't most of your videos are political in nature. If you are talking about a son who's primary crash outs and primary concerns are political, and you're trying to make fun of him for having political opinions, some of which being support of Hamas for humanitarian based reasons, then you are making political commentary. You should in fact be forced to contest your arguments on his live stream. You should be forced to engage with his invitations to debate. You do not get to just sit in a fucking corner, misrepresenting all of his arguments and each and every one of his situations, and not have to fucking face any sort of scrutiny for your claims.
Come on his stream to talk or debate and call him a coward if he declines. Why would I debate? I'm not a political person. I don't give.
Okay, that's another good clip that I need to retweet. Hashtag not chronic Sonic. I need to make another banger. I need to make another banger tweet. Also, thank you guys, my goats for being here. Oh. Vegas should be forced at gunpoint. No, I'm kidding. He claims to be, hold on. Hassan. Hold on. Fuck, dude, I can't. I need fucking Twitter Blue. I need Twitter Blue. Not political, but he's made almost 400 videos around a political streamer. It isn't. Oh, dude, there's one particular video. There's one particular video that actually fits that argument extremely fucking well, right? One particular video that fits that argument extremely well. I'm pretty sure that I can just find it purely off of just like, you know, purely off of just scrolling. More Pegasus videos. So about like 8 or 9 months ago, maybe 10 months ago, there was a firebombing, right? And Hassan made some claim about the firebombing situation that Pegasus made a video on, which was like, again, an inherently like political based attack. And he misrepresented like a lot of the fucking shit that was going on. This one? Oh. Oh. Okay, it might have been this one. It might have been this one.
Welcome back to a series so
educated. Yeah, alright, bro. Why doesn't he understand that most people view him as a total freak? It is impossible to find. You plan on interviewing Hassan for your video? It'd be cool to interview Hassan, but my Hassan will have like zero relevance within my video. Hassan will have like zero fucking relevance within my video. It's all exclusively the Ethan Klein industrial complex, right? So the plan. Okay, so ultimately like the first structure of my video, which is gonna be like as most as I'm gonna like, you know, lay out right now, because that's the only like, you know, part so far that I have going on, is Ethan's like emotional manipulation of an entire community of people online, of an entire culture of people online, right? Hundreds of thousands of people, you know, rallying to support a guy that rallying to support a guy. Okay, where's this firebombing? Actually, this video.
Welcome back to a series.
Thank you for becoming a member, bro. Appreciate it.
So legendary. Even Mewtwo is watching.
Wait, actually, it's the new month. I could just. It's the new month. I have free memberships that I can give. Since free membership gifting, I get 10 free ones every 30 days.
Today's video. Hassan is now officially slandered an actual lawyer. Not a smart.
What is this? Research stream.
Move. Legal
Hello.
Mindset has responded. KZTron continues to be a complete blundering moron. All right, let me just save you the trouble here. As someone who's earned a PhD in Hassanetics, I can tell you exactly what Hassan is going to do after this. Is Hassan going to correct his statement, say, oh, actually, guys, I was wrong. Actually, Legal Mindset...
Were you planning to kill? Nobody?
that is a lawyer. I got that fact wrong and I apologize. Nope, not unless he smokes more than Caseytron. What's actually going to happen, and I guarantee you this, he will completely ignore the mistake he made. He will double and triple down, continue to call Legal Mindset a fake MAGA lawyer, and he will basically—
This is political. This is political commentary right here. Whether he likes to admit it, this is political commentary right here.
face no repercussions. You know, I would say like the real punishment is his credibility and reputation, but let's be honest, that shit—
Okay, this is this is called narrative framing, right? This is called, maybe there's a more specific word for exactly what he's doing here, but the placeholder words that I'm going to use is narrative framing, right? Pegasus is saying, by like, you know, putting a fucking image of him, you know, going out to like, you know, the ICE protests in California, right? He's saying that as a protester, as somebody who's here to, like, you know, stand for people's rights, as somebody who's here to, like, you know, practice his politics, he is an incredible individual, as in, like, he's not allowed to, he's not, like, you know, what's it called, he shouldn't be taken seriously, right? So he's attempting to discredit him as a political activist. That in and of itself, whether he realizes it or not, is political commentary. So, more Pegasus wants to run from Hassan, saying that there's no reason that he should be debating him because he's not a political commentator, but even if he doesn't realize it, he is making political commentary by making, you know, implicit claims of Hassan not being like a serious, credible political activist. That in and of itself is political commentary. He should be forced to contest with like claims like that.
talk or debate and call him a coward if he declines. Why would I debate? I'm not a political person. I don't—
Why would I debate? I'm not a political person. He says as he mocks Hassan's credibility as a political commentator.
completely ignore the mistake he made.
Individual.
He will double and triple down, continue to call Legal Mindset a fake MAGA lawyer, and he will basically face no repercussions. You know, I would say like the real punishment is his credibility and reputation, but let's be honest, that shit has already been flushed down the toilet. There is no fixing his reputation at all. The local crackhead probably has a better reputation than Hassan at this point. Then Hassan talked about—
Yeah, let's discredit a political activist by showing clips of him being a political activist and showing that despite him being a political activist, he's somebody that shouldn't be taken seriously. That in and of itself is political commentary. The fact that Pegasus wants to claim that he's not political by doing what some people would consider, you know, like subtle political commentary, implying that this guy has no credibility, therefore you shouldn't take him seriously as like a, you know, as a voice of like any sort of, you know, political opinion. Is him doing defense for like, you know, the opposing side, or rather the opposing side of Hassan's politics. It makes him just as much as a political commentator as Hassan. It's not like he's doing like fucking, you know, it's not like he's reading literature that's talking about fucking like rainbows and unicorn, right? It's not like he's analyzing fucking horror movies. It's not like he's like, you know, making, you know, what's it called, Minecraft videos about like surviving in the deep sea, right? This is like as political as it gets, at least on a surface level. So that's some bullshit.
I don't give a fuck about your politics. I mean, you cannot keep making hundreds of videos about Hassan and then be afraid to have a friendly—
That's true. That's true thing.
It's gonna be a
That's true thing.
friendly conversation with Hassan, of course. Mr. Lying is OP. Mr. You racist piece of shit.
You fucking moron! You racist piece of shit!
Is gonna have a very friendly conversation. Mr. Are there executions in Singapore? Hassan also needs to keep asking him to come on his stream to talk.
Okay. Where were we? Oh yeah. I think you're coping a bit here, my friend. Senate judges don't really fit the analogy of halftime. It's more like a ref making a call but giving the other team a chance to argue first. This is a really, really watered down version of explaining what a tentative ruling really means. I heard you ate a whole jar of the Kool-Aid pineapple slices. What were your thoughts? If I did, it was purely to make my nut tasty, okay? I'm sorry, that was rude. That was uncalled for. I apologize. I'm sorry. No, but pineapple sounds good right now. It's more like a ref making a call but giving other team a chance to argue first. It's not a final decision, but the whole point of a tentative ruling is the judge reviewed all the evidence, researched the law, read the briefs, and reached a tentative conclusion. Meaning they've pretty much done all the work. Yes, it can be reversed, and it does happen. Most of the time, that ruling will just become the final judgment. Okay, never mind. It seems like at this point, this guy's on the fucking money. What's he gonna do? Request a hearing and argue that Haas precedent he said is actually wrong based on what? Are you stating intent for being a market replacement? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like none of these people fucking do their research. It's like none of these people actually fucking care to pay attention to. See, that's the fucking problem. You can't say you can't use that argument if the fucking ruling heavily suggests, if not outright states, that because of like all the other fucking bars were met, right? Because of all of the other fucking like pillars of fucking like fair use were met. The like intent is a meritless argument. It's a pointless argument because even if she did intend to make a fucking market replacement, it's not a fucking argument that works because the fucking like the piece was transformative enough for intent to not have like mattered in the first place, since it was like two fucking marketplaces in the, to begin with. It's almost like intent isn't relevant. You're making fair use work. Yeah. Goated. What a bunch of fucking retard. Hold on. I think it should be forced to debate. Claims to be apolitical and not make full content, as so that's a good excuse to avoid a debate. But fails to realize that most of his content is inherently political in nature, as they are is inherently political in nature is redundant. Haggis should be forced to debate. He claims to be apolitical and not make full content, as if that's a good excuse to avoid a debate, but fails to realize that most of his content is inherently political, as they are all misinformed critiques. As they are all, I didn't even specify videos. His content is inherently political. It's not they. It should be as it is all. All right, so this is the tweet. Haggis should be forced to debate. He claims to be apolitical and not make full content, as if that's a good excuse to avoid a debate, but fails to realize that most of his content is inherently political, as it's all misinformed critiques of Hassan's politics. That is politics, yeah. There we go. Goated. Another banger tweet. I've been milking them a lot recently. Who's fucking... Alright. What are we moving on to? Alright. What stage? What argument am I on right now? I need to go back to like some old yes. The iDubbbz stream. The iDubbbz stream where he likes, where he says he doesn't want to be friends with iDubbbz anymore. All right, dude. Ethan Klein calls out iDubbbz for not defending him. This would have been like around March, April, May. This would have been May. Yeah, I believe if I click on this, it would have been May. Oh, this would have been way before May. This would have been way after May. Yeah, this would have been after Creator Clash, but it would be maybe H3 Show 160, 165 off the top of my head. Okay, not 165. 167. July 16, 2025. January, February, March, April. No. 155? Enjoy. You know what? I'm just gonna do this. H3 Philmod, H3 podcast. Enjoy your new friends. H3 podcast. Enjoy your new friends. Hila says that when complaining about iDubbbz not coming to their defense, right? Which shows a sign of emotional manipulation, right? Making somebody feel, obligated to fend for them, even though they have no obligation to like do anything for them, even if they are friends, right? Search automatic tubs. Oh, fuck, dude. All right. Boom, boom. Cool. Wait. There we go. Never mind. It was in the same. It was in 119. It was like literally the fucking same stream where they announced CPS. All right. Not what I need. 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 Copy link address. Is that Mugenics music in the background? Yes, it is Mugenics music in the background. Ball knowledge. Ball knowledge. Oh, fuck. All right, dude. Give me the fucking video. Hello, Dickers. Hello, Dickers. Dickers, what are you doing today? What are you up to? What are you up to?
Oh yeah, and our other good friends.
Yeah.
All right. And our other good friends, Ethan and Anissa. I'm chill maxing today. I have a plan, Dickers. I'm writing for the first time in forever. I'm writing a fully scripted, fully thought out video essay.
More. I really don't care about.
I've gotten a surge of motivation to set the record straight on this Ethan Klein stuff because I'm heavily invested in it.
Anybody and anything, and yeah. It's
the reckless ban expose was crazy. What do you mean? What happened with reckless ban? I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with anything about that situation at all. I don't even know what this reckless Ben guy has been up to, but I'm not surprised that another YouTuber has, like, you know, bit off more than they can chew about a case that they weren't prepared to handle and then immediately got raped for it. Oh, if I understand at a surface level, and I mean at an extremely, you know, extreme surface level, but with like barely any understanding, like, you know, understanding of the Lego situation. Reckless Ben allegedly attempted to assist the people that were being wronged by the you know, Bricks and whatever the fuck store, right? But he got a lot of the information wrong and misrepresented the story and got fucking raped as a Weasley little liar. I know about the Scott Schaefer stuff, right? I heard about that. Fine. Derail. Alright, it's 15 minutes. Alright,
YouTuber Reckless Ben's LEGO series has done a great job exposing not only the corruption of a company known as Bricks and Minifig, but also the corruption of an entire city's police force in American Forks, Utah. Unfortunately, after doing some digging, it seems like Ben got a lot of his information wrong and seems to have straight up lied to his audience about winning a court case against the store that stole the Legos in the first place.
How did people not catch this, like, straight up? Even small claims lawsuits don't, like, resolve within, like, a couple of weeks. How could he have win a fucking lawsuit against Bricks and Minifigs within, like, less than a month? How did people not catch on to this, like, almost immediately off rip? I feel like that would have been incredibly obvious as soon as he claimed it.
On top of all of that, Ben's very reckless approach to vigilante justice led to him committing a bunch of serious crimes in his first video that will most likely end up with
Ben sued the wrong people and the cases were dismissed. Why am I not surprised?
Him spending years behind bars, and will probably hurt the family's chance of getting their stolen Legos returned. Now, I talked about this briefly on Twitter before I decided to make this video, and most people there had herd mentality and didn't want to hear the full story, so they all just called me a bootlicker or that I was a secret Mormon defending the corrupt cops. So before we get started, I want to make it clear that I am not Mormon, and nowhere in this video will I be defending the evil Bricks and Minifig Corporation that is clearly run by the
Is that Noah Samson? I'm kidding.
Real-life version of Dr. Robotnik. Nor will I be defending the police.
As long as this is playing. It's about to be done. Resetting it.
That clearly harassed Ben in his second video from American Forks, Utah. That whole police force needs to be investigated. Now, Ben's first video covers the story of a man that took his elderly father's 200K Lego collection to a Bricks and Minifig store in Oregon and entered into an agreement with the store owners that they would sell the collection on consignment for the man. A few months later, the store owners sold the business because they were moving out of the country, and the new owners of the store that the corporation had found for them refused to honor the original owner's deal with the man and just took the Legos as their own. That was the intro to Ben's video, and the rest is Ben coming up with different ways to try and get the store owners to give back the Legos to the son of the elderly man. Over the course of the video, Ben commits a bunch of crimes that he tells his audience are legal loopholes, but in reality are not. We'll talk about that in a bit, but every good movie has a climax at the end, and Ben's video ends with his team purchasing the man's Legos, split among the 10 of them, and then filing 10 lawsuits in small claims court against the Bricks and Minifig store that stole the man's Legos.
Small claims court, okay. So how long has this like Bricks and Minifig situation really been going on for? What exactly did this guy like set out to accomplish? I'm so confused. This is so confusing.
That store never responded to the lawsuit, and Ben wins by default, so he goes to the store to collect his winnings, only to find that the store permanently shut down to avoid having to pay him.
Bricks and Minifigs hasn't responded to a single court case we submitted against them. So I called the court to see what the next steps were.
You can move forward with a motion for default judgment.
Yes, since Bricks and Minifigs didn't respond, it looks like we win by default.
Congratulations, you won the court case. Dang it!
Why?
I couldn't believe it. Literally one day after we filed motion for default judgment, they permanently closed down the store. At first, it did feel kind of cool that our plan worked so well, it completely shut them down.
Now, unfortunately, that's
not how that works. Small claims courts, like, I'm pretty sure somebody who's like running a fucking franchise, unless they're like, never mind. What I was about to say was just about to be completely retarded, but I'm gonna say it anyways, just so that I could, like, you know, be fucking caught on that retardation. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure somebody running a franchise would probably have more than enough capital to like pay out a small claims court decision, right? Especially if the amount wasn't like over $100,000 or some bullshit like that. But then I realized I don't know how expensive this stuff actually was, and I don't know how much they settled, like how much the default was for. So I wouldn't even be able to like actually say if they could pay or not.
It's all untrue. And I'm not really sure if Ben is maliciously lying to his audience to make a better story, or if he's just not smart enough to know he didn't win the lawsuits. I was able to pull up the cases in the Oregon online record search, and all of Ben's cases from the video were dismissed by the judge, and Ben did not win any by
wait. So was that call like actually him saying, "Hey, what's going on with my case? Can I know?" Well, you're just gonna have to like move to default, as in like you have to accept a default, you know, and have your case and like, you know, your attempt dismissed.
Default, as he claims in the video. Ben does have a new claim he created in March against Bricks and Minifig store owner Joshua Johnson, but that's not the case he mentioned in the video, and it's set to go to trial later this month. The cases he claims in the video he won were all dismissed, and digging into the paperwork, it's clear that Ben had no idea what he was doing. In the documents, we can see that Ben tried to sue an LLC known as L2 Bricks LLC. Unfortunately for Ben, this was the former owner of the store's LLC, and we can see it was
so like the former owner was like the former owner was like, I'm assuming that the former owner probably just never got served because at this point they were probably within like, you know, moving out of country.
Dissolved.
I bet you they moved to Taiwan, dude. I bet you they moved to like Taiwan or like fucking like, you know, like some other like, you know, cheap Asian country like fucking Thailand. You know what I mean?
In 2018 after a failure to renew. When the new owners took over the store, they formed a new business known as Salem Barker Bricks Incorporated. Ben wasn't aware of this apparently, and sued the defunct LLC from 2018. Now, to make matters worse, in the video, we see Ben serve the paperwork to the store's employees. Specifically, one gets served to a young lady named Calendonia, who appeared earlier in the video when Ben tricked her into following him into the woods to, according to him, brainwash her into helping him.
Here's your legal paperwork.
You have been served.
The first lawsuit has officially been served.
Now, aside from suing the wrong company in the lawsuit, it's also not legal to serve store employees if you are suing a business.
Don't ask me how I know this. The owner themselves has to be served. You cannot show up to a place of employment and then give a fucking person like, you know, like the paperwork of a lawsuit, right? The owner themselves has to be present for them to be served, and they have to accept the paperwork.
This is done because employees are not registered agents of a business, and it just wouldn't make any sense to serve them. If I wanted to sue Walmart, I can't just walk into a store and hand the lawsuit papers to the 80-year-old greeter. That just wouldn't make any sense. Ben didn't know this, so he never served the registered agents of the new company, but it wouldn't have mattered.
So he just like, you have been served. He just walks up to the employee. You have been served. and then the paperwork just didn't fucking go anywhere. So this guy was so fucking desperate for views. This guy was so desperate to make like a fucking documentary where he'd be praised as a fucking hero that he just fucking like stopped short at every single step of the fucking situation.
Mattered anyway, since he was suing the wrong company to begin with. Now, this is the reason why the company.
Well, yeah, okay. On top, okay, so it's like it's a multi-layered issue. He was suing the fucking wrong company from the first place, and then right after that, he didn't even go all the fucking way to like properly make sure that these lawsuits were being delivered. So even if he did sue the right company, because he was just so eager to like you know just film this and make it as like what's it called as sensational as possible. He just did it so half-assed and so fucking poorly that it would have never fucking ended up in anything anyways.
Responded to Ben's lawsuit because they
I think
simply didn't need
a lawyer probably would have helped him a lot, actually. A lawyer probably would have like genuinely just helped him so fucking much by you know finding like a proper agent to serve in the first place.
Since he didn't correct
and he probably would have like and a lawyer's counsel probably would have like assisted him in not making the mistake of like suing the wrong company in the first place, unless he fully intended to sue the wrong company. There's two ways that this could have played out. Either he's that incompetent, or he's just like blatantly malicious, and he sued the wrong company to speedrun a default, right? Since there was never going to be a response, right? And since the case was never heard out, there was probably going to be a dismissal because it's small fucking claims. And he wanted to present all of that as like being him successfully winning and beating the fucking you know the big guys, right? One of the two. Either he's that incompetent or he was just like, you know, fucking malicious and misled everybody from the get.
Ben eventually called the county clerk, and she looked up that they hadn't responded and told him he can go ahead with filing for default judgment.
Okay, so I don't...
Yeah, you can go ahead and file for default judgment. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually going to default or lose. The case could still be thrown out since there's like, you know, nothing that occurred.
See that there's been a response from anybody in the case. Since they didn't respond, you can move forward with a motion for default judgment.
Okay. Now, the county clerk Ben talked to had no idea what the case was. She just saw they hadn't responded, which is why she told him he could go ahead and do that. However, once Ben filed for default judgment, the judge looked at the case and saw the errors and quickly denied.
Yeah. Judge looked at the case was like, "There's nothing here. Get the fuck out of my face."
Ben's default judgment claim. I found the form Ben filled out, and you can see it has a red line through it, with red letters at the top stating that denied proof of service to someone called Caledonia without any information as to their authority to accept serve on behalf of Defendant LLC. Now after that, Ben tried again, and the judge left a comment about the improper filing of Ben.
We're not gonna be pursuing relitigation because you fucking suck at this. Please get a fucking lawyer.
Trying to serve Caledonia back in February of 2025, which was before the case even existed. At this point, the judge thought this lawsuit was a joke and dismissed the whole thing on April 7th. If Ben had won any money or a default judgment, that final April 7th entry would explicitly read general judgment default or money award.
What's up, Samuel?
Instead, the final
How have I been? Stressed the fuck out, but for the most part, we're getting through it.
Judgment of the
it's gonna be all déjà vu, as people say.
Court is a dismissal. All of Ben's cases face the same fate.
Low tier god. Oh yeah, because low tier god like represented himself in court against his baby mama and won a restraining order. Dude, how did nobody cover that? I saw that through Instagram fucking reels of all fucking places, right? That was entertaining as fuck.
And we're all dismissed. Now, I tried to share this on Twitter, but people don't like to hear the truth, and everyone called me a bunch of horrible names. Now, the real question is if Ben intentionally lied.
I appreciate you for stopping by, Samuel. It means a lot.
Lied to his audience.
But I'm not the type of person. I'm not the type of person to like, you know, fucking go down pretty easily. So no matter what happens, I'm gonna always have, you know, I'm always have the balls to persevere.
To make for a better ending to the video, or if he's just not smart enough to know all his cases were dismissed. I lean on the side of this being...
I think it was malicious. I believe it was malicious. I think he thought he was going to get somewhere with this. He realized too late that it wasn't going to get anywhere because he's just been doing everything incorrectly and still wanted to mislead his audience so that he can salvage at least something because his audience probably wouldn't have been smart enough to understand that he just, you know, got screwed in the end or like screwed himself over in the end.
an intentional lie. Ben would have undoubtedly gotten the paperwork from the judge telling him the cases were dismissed, and that took place all the way back on April 7th, which was a month and a half before his video went live. Even Ben's own subreddit has discovered—
So he wanted to salvage the situation and published a video full of like misinformation, so that he could gain something. Not expecting like, you know, people on the internet to be smarter than him and look into this.
All his cases were dismissed, but for some reason they don't seem to think that's a big deal, that the climax of the video was made up. Now, when Ben went to the store to collect his winnings, the store had been closed, and Ben claims this was because they didn't want to have to pay him his money.
That's not how you collect. That's not how you collect winnings, though. So yeah, everything about this video was just like completely fabricated. How did people not catch on to this sooner?
The real reason they closed was because of constant harassment by Ben and his friends.
What was the reason behind your store closing this month?
His harassment and vandalism.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
Okay. So on your own accord, you guys shut it down.
On my own accord, yes.
Okay.
So Ben's whole climatic ending about winning the case and going to the store to make them pay seems like it was made up strictly to get a bunch of views. Now, aside from the made-up lawsuit win, I also want to talk about the many times that Ben openly commits crimes in the video and tells his audience that he discovered some sort of loophole that makes what he's doing legal and a 4D chess move, when in reality it's not. The best example of that takes place around the 1 hour mark of the video. Ben had been told by the store that he was not allowed on premise and would be arrested if he came back. But then, Ben reveals his secret 4D chess move. He had secretly gotten the store manager, Amanda, to sign a contract that prevents him from being kicked out of the store or being arrested.
I made a contract with Amanda that says I, Ben Schneider, should not be trespassed, and all of these legal words for any circumstance.
That's not even, this isn't even a legally binding contract. You are like, you cannot make somebody sign a contract that prevents you from being like, you know, held to account and held to account for breaking the fucking law
Whatsoever, and for literally any reason.
And this would never hold up in any fucking court ever. This would never hold up in any court ever, and for literally any reason ever. So if you're like, if you just so like if you fucking rape somebody on their premises, right? What, they're not allowed to remove you? A fucking lawyer would look at that, a judge would look at that, and they'd be like, you're a fucking retard. Yeah, even if he rapes her, yeah, like, what are you saying? This would never be legally binding in the first place. How did people not pick up on this, like, fucking immediately?
They cannot trespass me. But this only really works as a get out of jail free card.
No, it doesn't.
Get Amanda to sign it.
Hi, sorry, I got a delivery. Can I get a signature?
She didn't even read the contract and you got it on video. That is more legally binding than the contract. If she didn't read a contract and she fucking signed it and you got it on video, that's evidence of her not fucking, like, you know, like acknowledging the agreements on said contract, right? And like you know, assuming that she signed it in the first place. You said that she didn't sign it. It would never, even if it was a legitimized contract, it would have never been binding because she never fucking acknowledged the fucking terms.
For some reason, Amanda just started signing our contract without even reading it.
Like if you sign a contract without reading it and there's evidence of you not reading it, I'm pretty sure it's not legally binding. Let me ask Gemini. Let me ask Google Gemini. If you sign a contract without reading it and can prove you never read or acknowledged it, is it still legally binding? Duty to read. Okay, never mind, I'm wrong. Under a fundamental legal principle known as the duty to read, courts presume that if you physically or electrically sign a document, you have read, understood, and agreed to its terms. Proving you chose not to read or read it does not invalidate your consent. Instead, it is legally viewed as your own voluntary negligence. Presumption of assent. Your signature is the ultimate objective manifestation of your intent to be bound. What if you, like, okay, but what if there was, like, no knowledge that you were signing a contract? If it was never made clear to you that you were signing a contract, that your agreement may be void or voidable. Okay, there we go.
Now, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen on YouTube. It's a Looney Tunes level of stupidity. If you had told me there was an episode where the Wile E. Coyote tried to trick the Roadrunner this way, I would believe you, but in real life, that's not how it works at all. Ben claims that in the US...
Well, yeah, you have to be informed. You have to be informed that you are signing a legally binding contract, and if you don't read it, that's your own negligence, you know, for the terms, right? The only way that a contract is binding is if it's like if you were made to, right? If you were made to acknowledge the fact that you are signing a contract. He goes in there and says, "Delivery, could you sign this?" She signs it, not understanding that she's signing a contract, and it was never made clear to her. So it's not like it fucking mattered in the first place.
We have a duty to read a contract law, and since she didn't read it, the contract is...
Lack of reasonable opportunity. To defend yourself, you must show that deception gave you no reasonable opportunity to learn the document's true character. Yeah, there you go.
Valid.
In America, we have a duty to read contracts law, which states that you have to read a contract before you sign it.
But the contract has to be made, like, you have to be made aware of the presence of said contract in the first place. So he's completely, like, you know, he's completely, like, you know, like skipping one part of the story to mislead his audience because fucking people are not perceptive of the law.
And if you forget to read it or you just choose not to read it, it's your fault and you still have to do everything the contract says.
Ben is 100% incorrect and is showing the perfect example of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is a cognitive bias where people with limited knowledge or competence in a specific area greatly overestimate their own skills. Ben Googled a few articles about legally binding contracts and decided he had uncovered some master-level 4D chess move no one had found before. Unfortunately, he was wrong. If what Ben says is true, then anyone can fake being a delivery driver and walk up to someone's home and have them sign for a package, but in reality, it's a title deed transfer form, and now you own their home. This isn't legal and would never hold up in court. In fact, Ben committed a civil fraud known as fraud in the factum, which completely voids a contract because you tricked someone into signing a document.
That's fucking hilarious.
Without them realizing it was a contract at all. But criminally, this falls directly under Oregon's forgery laws. If a prosecutor decided to charge him, he is caught on camera committing an open and shut offense. If they charged him with forgery in the second degree, a misdemeanor, he'd face up to a year behind bars, but if they pushed for forgery in the first degree, which is a Class C felony for fabricating a commercial contract with fake financial penalties, he would be facing up to 5 years in state prison. I really am blown away no one is calling out this blatant illegal act he pulled.
I think most people didn't bother to fucking double check the work is probably why. Not until like this video.
The only clip I found of someone realizing it was illegal was streamer Pay Money Wubby, who immediately called his lawyer and the lawyer confirmed the streamer's suspicions.
I made a contract that says I, Ben Schneider, should not be trespassed for any circumstance whatsoever.
Well, that's not how that works. So I got her to sign it without knowing, and then I went and committed crimes, but you already signed it.
Can I get a signature?
This is so f***ing illegal. Not illegal? That is literally fraudulent. What do you mean? People in chat are saying that's not illegal. That is super f***ing illegal. Anything you want to share about the video?
The initial impression is that these guys are not doing any service by doing this.
There are a couple of other small crimes he commits, like criminal trespassing. When he entered the store after being told he can't come back, that was trespassing, despite his bogus claim that Amanda had signed the contract that allowed him to be there. This particular punishment wouldn't be excessive, but he could face about 30 days in jail for each trespassing occurrence. Next, there is the criminal mischief that Ben and his team commit in the video. He covers up the sign of their store with signs saying, "We steal from old people." Because his video directly documents him measuring the sign, printing custom text to mimic their font, and modifying their store signage without permission, a conviction is an open and shut case. A realistic sentence for this kind of high-profile property manipulation would be 10 to 30 days in jail. Now, those are the crimes he commits in his first video, but he also committed a bunch of inappropriate acts against the...
I hope this guy gets sued. I hope this guy gets sued. No, he what? He potentially lied to billions of people. Or not billions. He potentially lied to millions of people. And enriched himself off of a story, right? And then completely botched this like minifigs case? This like Lego theft case?
Company that he will 100% be sued for in civil court as well. One of Ben's...
This guy also fled to Mexico, by the way. You're lying. You're lying. Send me that. I mean, Mexico isn't gonna like fleeing to Mexico isn't gonna protect him. But there's no way.
Plans to piss off the store to give back the Legos.
Mexico will 100%. Mexico will 100% assist in like, you know, in a lawsuit or like, you know, an investigation like this. That is in his second video at the end. You're lying. Yeah, so Mexico will cooperate. They will let you. Like, they won't directly assist you. They won't go out of their way to help you, but they will cooperate. They will say like, hey, yeah, this person, you know, they'll allow you to like serve them if possible.
Was incorporating a business explicitly named We Steal From Old People and slapped the trademark name Bricks and Minifig right under it as their official company slogan. After that, he started selling matching merchandise right outside their store, and Ben again thought he had discovered a 4D chess move that was completely legal.
We're setting up a Bricks and Minifigs We Steal From Old People company booth right outside of their entrance.
If anyone wants to walk into the Bricks and Minifig store, they have to get through me and my merch.
We got some We Steal From People barf bags because honestly what they're doing in this store is so gross, it's probably gonna make all the customers throw up.
Unfortunately, Ben was again 100% incorrect. You can't blatantly rip off another company with the intent to deceive customers into thinking they are related or the same brand. If I created an LLC named Our Burgers Are Made with Human Meat and put the tagline McDonald's underneath like Ben did, do you know what would happen? McDonald's would sue
you for defamation.
The McShits right out of me. This is blatant trademark infringement as well, since Bricks and Minifig is a federally registered trademark.
Okay.
Under the Federal Lanham Act, it is highly illegal to use someone else's registered trademark in commerce if it creates a likelihood of confusion or intentionally tarnishes the brand. It's also blatant defamation as well. Now, some might claim it was just a parody, but it ceases to be protected as a parody the split second it is used to execute a deceptive commercial trade practice that destroys a business's revenues through false statements of fact. By setting up a physical retail operation on their property line, intercepting paying customers.
All right, I fucking get it. Let's skip to this Ethan part.
Video. His severe lack of understanding of laws will undoubtedly get him some amount of jail time, and all of this could have been avoided if he had just consulted a lawyer before making these unhinged videos.
Get a lawyer.
I'm down. But my theory
I'm down.
has always been if I do something so just like weird and like messed up.
Yeah, if I do something that's incredibly like, you know, not thought through, irresponsible, reckless.
That something like a lawyer would never recommend, the other side will never see it coming. If they never see it coming, they won't know how to respond. If they can't respond.
If the other side never sees it coming, I'll potentially do an egregious amount of damage and fuck myself over legally.
Then now I'm on top and
You're the lawyer.
Yeah.
Once all the dust settles, I think it's going to be clear to Ben it wasn't worth it. If his video had been made with accurate information and no laws broken, he could have helped the family and not ended.
So he just has a bunch of fucking evidence on YouTube that fucking implicates him of multiple crimes and like, you know, civil liability.
Up facing multiple years behind bars and most likely crippling debt after Bricks and Minifig easily ruins him in civil court. If you would like to help the family that lost their savings, I'll have a link below.
Reckless. No, well, no wonder his name is Reckless Ben, right? No wonder his name is Reckless Ben. He did everything like as reckless as possible. He looks like such a fucking retard, dude. I just no, that's an attack in appearance. I'm sorry. He just looked. I don't know what to tell you. Like his like physiognomy is just. What do you like? What do you say here? He just looks like a douchebag, you know. The real truth about McCamey Manor. Infiltrating McCamey Manor. The fuck? What the fuck is this content? What the fuck is this content? This might have been covered in the part 2, but also at Ben's admits in his answers question video that he knew that he sued the wrong BAM company. I saw that Twitter post, right, where he basically made like an AI generated response where he admitted to like lying to people and said that he definitely like, you know, sued the wrong company. But somehow, you know, like, whatever. I saw that. He knew that he sued the wrong B&M company, or BAM company, making his actions afterwards. I see. I'm Reckless Ben. Yeah, this guy's screwed. I don't know what you could, like... It's all admitted, it's all on camera. He's like... No wonder he got arrested. No wonder he got arrested. You know what's crazy? You know what's fucking crazy? I've been watching a lot of Moist Critical recently. Because I've been using his like fucking videos to, like, you know, help me sleep after like being incredibly stressed the fuck out. And this guy has just like played fucking hard defense for Reckless Ben. He hasn't even made a video like to, you know, screw it, like, you know, talking shit about him at all. Not this, not this, not this. Right here. Police department response to Lego scandal.
I think this is now the 4th video in 3 days I have made on this massive Lego scandal. With it constantly, bricks and minifigs, that is. And the officers are more than happy to just swallow all of this cum from them. They go out there and just start guzzling. They are there.
No, well, in retrospect, this entire video is incorrect now. In retrospect, most of the fucking claims that he's making in defense of Reckless Ben is entirely incorrect. The guy got rightfully fucking arrested for being, like, you know, for like harassment, trespassing, or whatever other fucking word you want to, like, you know, false, you know, and like whatever you fucking want to do.
And harassing Ben and his team, threatening them.
Yeah. And people are attacking unrelated stores because of a multi-million fucking, like, you know, defamation campaign, multi-million you know, view defamation campaign led by, like, fucking Reckless Ben, right? Purely for like self-enrichment, leveraging somebody else's misfortune for his own personal gain. Oh, fuck, dude. This guy is fucking screwed. This guy is screwed. No matter what you do, the amount of fucking damages that this company can get is fucking insane. Fuck. I said I hope this guy gets sued, but because of, like, the amount of fucking damages they could probably seek for not only defamation, but also, like, physical fucking damages, people getting fucking assaulted and all of the fucking crimes. I feel that if he got sued, his life would just be, like, too fucking permanently ruined. Yeah, it's Dogpack 404 Part 2.
And they do arrest them multiple times. They even go in with guns blazing to his fucking house and dislocate his shoulder, like roughhousing him outside, even though no one put up any kind of fight. It's crazy. Let's get into it.
So I started to file my lawsuit. But right after I filed this court case, it got rejected. And the reason was I failed to demonstrate a good faith effort to resolve the dispute prior to filing.
And he just fucking, in Moist Critical, just eats it up. He just eats it up without fucking doing any preemptive research. This fucking... This court is so corrupt. The police is so corrupt. They're just fucking helping. They're just cum guzzling this company. Didn't even fucking realize that fucking Reckless Ben filed a fraudulent lawsuit prior and then continues to fucking commit all these crimes and then tries to sue them again fraudulently as well. No fucking wonder.
Basically, before this court case can get approved, I have to at least attempt to settle with Josh outside of court first. I tried calling Josh, but I'm blocked.
I'm sorry.
I wonder why.
And basically, if Josh wants to save the day, I got him a trophy that says, Joshua Johnson saved the day. And we'll give him this trophy, but he has to give the Legos back first. So we started driving to Josh's house.
I had never heard of that, so in order to file this lawsuit, he needed to play in the pig pen with Josh for...
I have never heard of that. I wonder why. I wonder why you've never heard of that. I've never heard of that, but apparently you have to... Did you not once, like, stop to think? Oh, maybe there's a fucking factor here that we're missing. Maybe there's something here that we just don't know that's not being told to us. You know, you never stop with all of these speaking, like, you know, with all of these fraudulent ass fucking people trying to, like, perform these investigations on big companies such as Dogpack 404. You never once stopped and thought, what if this guy's misleading me? If I've never heard of this before, can there not be any other alternative answer than besides the narrative that's just being fucking fed to me?
A little bit here to demonstrate that he tried in good faith to resolve it amicably.
You need, like, I don't know, Moist Critical just needs to fucking correct the record on this fucking one. I don't know, like, I mean, he's a fucking multi-million subscriber YouTuber, right? He's not gonna, like, come down in the mud with us, but absolutely he should be held to account for misinforming everybody and not, like, doing his due diligence.
So that's
well, and even if he himself is a fucking moron that just fell for this guy's like narrative hook, line, and sinker, then I mean it's easier to say in hindsight, right? It's easier to say using retrospect. But he should at least make an active effort to like correct the record and the misinformation.
That's exactly what Ben tried to do. He drove out to Josh in order to meet him in person to try and just squash the beef right then and there and get the Legos back so that way it didn't have to go through the legal system here with this lawsuit. Ben has been doing everything above board based on everything that I've seen.
Based on everything that I've seen, yeah, okay. Ben has been doing everything above board based on everything that I've seen. Before Scott Schaefer was able to lay out any of his fucking arguments, a retard like me was able to quickly catch on to each and every one of those issues. With basic fucking information. And Moist Critical couldn't even do that watching a fucking video? Okay, dude.
Here, again, I'm not a fucking lawyer, but it is telling him what he needs to do legally, and he is doing it.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, he's kind of...
And he's doing it. Well, okay, he's telling him what he needs to do legally, and he's doing it. Why didn't he hire a lawyer to do it for him? Why didn't he hire a lawyer to represent him and act as an agent? Which is what most people would do in circumstances like these. Right? Most people, look for, settlement lawyers. Or look for, what's it called? State lawyers or shit like that to, settle, property disputes or other form of booking disputes. To, act as an agent for the person so that the person doesn't have to, go out there and get things wrong themselves. What do you mean he's doing everything above board? You should have contacted a lawyer.
Being a little silly about it, like with the trophy, but I mean, that's exactly what Josh deserves. He deserves to be treated like a fucking temper tantrum-riddled child. That's what Josh is. We've heard him on the phone fucking melting down, crashing out, freaking out, sucking his thumb.
Yeah, I wonder why. In retrospect, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because I've seen the other Moist Critical videos where he's talking about, how this guy was incredibly smug on the phone. I wonder why. It's probably because this guy was fucking suing him incorrectly and just trying to fuck with him the entire time. And he realized that there was never going to be a case there.
Farting his butt off like this guy super sucks. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with delivering him a little, cheeky trophy about oh, he saved the day. Look, you finally did it, Josh. In order to avoid the lawsuit, if Josh is willing to do that. But guess what? Josh isn't that much of a man. He's a little bitch.
This happened.
The police just showed up. What the heck?
Yeah, the police showed up because you were fucking harassing him.
There's another one, dude. 2 cop cars.
My name's Officer. This is Americorps Police. The reason I stopped you is the stop sign. You didn't stop that.
I didn't? I thought I stopped.
Yeah, you definitely stopped. You said you ran a stop sign?
A complete stop.
You said you ran a stop sign?
A complete stop. A complete stop, you have to be there for okay. Is it 5 seconds or is it a 10-second rule? What is a complete stop in most states? Because I know every state is different. A complete stop means the vehicle's wheels have completely ceased moving and the car has 0 forward or backward momentum. In most states, there is no specific time limit, like a 3-second rule waiting until law. Instead, the legal standard is based entirely on the total cessation of movement. The vehicle must come to a dead stop. This usually creates a distinct straight backwards lean or dip in the chassis and the forward momentum end. Must stop completely before the painted stop line the crossroad. Okay. So, he probably did a rolling stop. I
Didn't see what happened. Yeah, I was like,
because we definitely stopped at the stop sign.
Stopped.
Yeah.
I was so sure that we stopped at the stop sign that I actually requested all the police footage of this. And as you can see, we didn't even do a rolling stop. We fully stopped.
You stopped past the stop sign.
At the stop sign. So this is
that you stopped past the stop sign. You're supposed to stop before it. Okay, so this is actually like a legal infraction. Right?
Sure that we stopped at the stop sign that I actually requested all the police footage of this. And as you can see, we didn't even...
The law is the law. He moves past the stop sign. He's partway into the intersection right here. Meaning if somebody's coming this way, he is impeding, he is an obstacle.
Do a rolling stop.
Which is a safety risk. He has passed the stop sign. Part of his nose is in the intersection. That means if somebody's coming by, they would have to swerve to avoid him. Or not having too close of a call.
We fully stopped.
Nope, that is definitely a legal infraction.
At the stop sign.
We fully stopped at the stop sign. Definitely not.
So, this is an illegal traffic stop.
Nope.
Yeah, the corruption kicks off.
Nope. Moist Critical's a fucking retard.
Immediately upon Ben even entering the zone here. He's in the fucking PvP enabled zone now.
Yeah.
So
fucking revoke these guys, revoke everybody's licenses. He's in a PvP enabled zone. The corruption doesn't stop. Yeah, I get like, you know, being like, you know, getting a fucking citation for like not stopping at a stop sign is like, or for stopping at a stop sign or stopping incorrectly at a stop sign is incredibly fucking gay, right? Because the likelihood of an accident occurring is like, you know, almost like fucking non-existent in some of these cases. That doesn't excuse him from like very obviously committing a crime in front of a fucking police officer. That doesn't make it corrupt. It just means that he's fucking strict.
So Ben gets in the server,
and how can you even pretend that this is like an active fucking targeting of somebody if you didn't even like identify the person in the vehicle?
And Josh was alerted to it potentially from.
could these police officers not fucking like also? Could these guys? Could the fucking like, you know, the police department of whatever fucking city this is not also sue this guy for defamation?
Some of the other Bricks and Minifigs associates that knew that Ben was there.
This guy's
so,
screwed.
as they're going to try and, like, have this peaceful conversation with Josh about this whole thing, as he is required to do by law as the first steps before filing a lawsuit.
Or you get a lawyer. Or you get a lawyer to act as an agent for you. You get a lawyer to act as an intermediary.
Josh is...
Let me actually ask Gemini AI. Should I get a lawyer to act as an intermediary to try to settle before a small claims lawsuit as requested by the court, or can I do this myself and try to settle myself? You can absolutely do this yourself, and in most small claims cases, hiring a lawyer is completely unnecessary. Small claims courts are specifically designed for everyday people to resolve disputes without the high cost of legal representation. In fact, many states actually ban lawyers from participating in small claims hearings altogether. All right. Okay, never mind. I guess I'm just fucking on that point. Since the court has requested you try to settle, they are looking for a good faith effort to resolve the issue before taking up the judgment time. Okay, I see. Why you should try to settle it yourself first. Okay, I see. Mogged by Gemini AI.
Already alerted the police there. So Josh already hunkers down, surrounded by his own private military force here with the Utah Police Department that's protecting him. And they decide to initiate what seems to be an illegal traffic stop here on Ben.
Definitely not AI change. I'm gonna ask Grok. Fuck you, Google AI, and fuck you, Gemini AI. Anyways, not an illegal traffic stop. I'm sorry. I hate fucking getting pulled over by cops, which is exactly why I've avoided like traffic infractions, you know, over the last fucking 4 to 5 years. But this is definitely not an illegal traffic stop. This guy's a fucking retard.
Saying that he didn't stop at the stop sign, but he requested the footage from the cops on the dash cam. You can see them stop. They stopped. I think it's pretty obvious they were just looking for an excuse to stop them and intimidate them.
So who's Ben? Me. Ben. How's Utah?
It's good.
Like it?
We were forced to go home without having this good faith conversation the court requires us to have.
Pretty cool officer. He thinks he's in like...
Yeah, the court requires you to have it. Because you fucking failed to make a fucking... Because you failed to like properly submit your court case the first time around.
An action movie or something. Hey, Ben! How's Utah, bud? I don't know why he's acting like that. That's so cringe. But anyway... Ben then explains the reason for being there. He then goes back to the car, and this is all on body cam. He says, give me the ID for Reckless Ben. Everything else he said was a lie. Even though Ben was telling him the true story, they just immediately write it off as a lie, showing pretty clearly that they are already against Ben and his team, trying to get justice for an old man who has been butt-fucked by this massive corporation, and they are trying to do it legally through the legal system.
Yeah, okay, bro. So were they like non-cooperative? Is that what was going on in like the future cases? They were just non-cooperative?
Since
I find it insane that Reckless Ben got like, you know, got in like police interactions more than like maybe once or twice, perhaps, but over 2 times, over 3 times. To me it's like he was instigating. To me it just feels like he was instigating.
Stalked basically by the police department, wielded by Brandon and Josh.
So yeah, we ended up just driving home, but on our way back, this happened.
What? Pulled over again? For what?
Okay, yeah, why?
How's it going?
How's it going? I'm Officer Hawkins, American Fork Police Department. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Well, what's your name? Are you Ben?
The police apparently got a call that we had heroin on us.
This officer is going to conduct a search of your person because there are illegal substances in the vehicle. Really? So he's going to do that. I'm going to put this away, and then we'll be right. Don't. Oh, okay. Don't reach in your pockets. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
But this, I mean, that could genuinely be the case. Why are we defaulting to like immediate corruption? That could have like genuinely been the case. Maybe somebody did like, you know, call like, you know, somebody on Ben. Maybe like the fucking person, maybe the former owner, because of this, in this case, and at this point, it would have been the former owner, not the present owner, right? Because he sued the wrong, or, you know, or the person that he was attempting to sue, or whatever. Okay, so he attempts to sue the first and foremost, he sues the wrong people, right? I'm pretty sure the wrong people that he's suing is a completely different, like, you know, franchise, or a completely different company. Not the owners of the current establishment, and not the former owners, right? So he's trying to like confront these former owners. These former owners are probably like heavily like fucking afraid and agitated at these like, you know, frequent confrontations. So maybe they made a very reasonable, you know, report that this guy was like, you know, fucking drugged. Yeah, he sued the wrong LLC. Yeah, so he sues the wrong LLC first and foremost, right? But that was never going to go anywhere. Of course, he was never going to like actually get anywhere with it because he fucking filed the paperwork incorrectly, which triggers the fucking like, you know, court response saying that you have to go fucking remedy this in person in a good faith attempt. Right? And then he goes to the wrong fucking people in the first place because they were the former owners, not the primary owners. Right? Former owner was in his video before. I see. Alien their channel. Sure. It just doesn't make any like maybe these people genuinely are like just under like, you know, extreme amount of like, you know, fucking anxiety, and they just called the fucking police on him to make sure that he wasn't like, you know, carrying illegal substances that was making him act irrationally. That would be a genuine concern. It doesn't necessarily mean like fucking corruption. The idea of corruption in the first place doesn't make any fucking sense because he's fucking suing the wrong company. The fucking people that he's like going after currently don't even know what the fuck they're doing wrong. So it couldn't be corruption. It's just people like genuinely fucking concerned.
After 2 hours of searching the car, obviously they found no drugs.
Or for all we know, they might have called the fucking report on themselves to try to like, you know, frame a fictitious like amount of like information, trying to like, you know, make a you know, a sensationalized video.
I explained to the police that we didn't have drugs, and the reality of the situation is that Bricks and Minifigs is so desperate at this point that they're willing to do anything to get us arrested so they don't have to pay for the property they stole.
Yeah, that's pretty low. These fucking
it just doesn't seem like that's the case at all. But again, I'm speaking in retrospect, right? This is me tapping into a story that I already became aware was like, you know, a fraudulent story.
Scumbags are now resorting to falsifying these reports to officers. They are maliciously relaying fraudulent information to the officers to try and have Ben and his team arrested. So now Brandon/Josh here is saying that they had heroin in their car, so the police pulled them over and searched for drugs, and of course they didn't find anything. And interestingly enough, this appears to be part of a pattern from Josh Johnson. This seems to be one of his go-to tactics. According to one of the previous owners of the Bricks and Minifigs, where all this started, the Patient Zero, when they were kicked out, when corporate swooped in and, you know, excommunicated them from the Continental, Josh Johnson had apparently been spreading rumors, telling people that they, the previous owners...
Wait, which of these games are we excited for? I just saw this tweet. I haven't been interested in games in a long time, but I'm curious. Which of these games are we excited for? You want to swallow for the Mormon corruption angle? if he was looking at it like, you know, actively, right? If he was looking at it actively, you know, day by day as it was going on, I can understand, right? So I can't really fault him for that. I probably would have fallen for something like that as well. But in retrospect, it just doesn't fucking make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense how there's any corruption here. It just seems like somebody's actually just being like genuinely fucking harassed, and they're trying to like, you know, they're trying to like alleviate their harassment. What are we excited for here? Fable? I've never played a Fable game. I played one on the original, like, you know, Xbox, I guess, but like very briefly. And I was very excited that it reminded me of The Legend of Zelda. So I'm excited to play Fable. I believe this is going to be a remaster, not a sequel, right? So I'm excited to play that and experience it as an adult in a legitimate way. Crazy Taxi might be interesting. High key. Fallout 76. Might be an interesting, game to get back into. Spyro and the Spyro A Realm Beyond. Spyro Realm Beyond. I remember loving Spyro games back when like, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro and like what's it called? Pac-Man had all like 3D games on like the Sega Dreamcast and whatnot. For those of you who remember, shout out. Valor Mortis. Don't know anything about this game. I'm really just excited for Halo, Metro, Fable, maybe Crazy Taxi, maybe Fallout, and maybe I don't really care about Spyro. I outgrew Spyro a long time ago. Persona 6? I'm gonna pick up P4 Remake, but Persona 6 is right here. I'm gonna pick up P4 Remake. Persona 6 is right there. State of Decay 3? I know a couple of people. Why is where Winds meet? Check Los Alamos? All right.
Well, then a retaliatory arrest claim fails. There is that exception, though. The exception is there objective evidence? And even if there isn't, and you're doing the probable cause analysis, what does the court do if no real probable cause exists? The courts will allow them to come up with fake probable cause or arguable probable cause. The best route to get this retaliation to move forward is you have to ignore probable cause altogether by establishing objective evidence.
They mean to share from timestamp? So, okay. Benjamin German. Clearly established, does a great job covering the legal stuff, and then the Ben guy is the owner's husband. Benjamin Gorman is who you're referring to. The owner's husband? So are these people gay? Or is the owner a female? Well, okay, can you explain the relevance of these people? Again? In case I was... Okay, yeah. So they took our Lego store and life savings. Help us fight back.
Our Lego franchise and our life savings, along with a giant collection inside the store, which was owned by Brian Mansell's father, was taken by Bricks and Minifigs.
And then Reckless Ben.
So these are the former owners. Okay.
Ben made a great documentary about it, and it has blown up.
A great documentary about it.
I know you wish you'd done your makeup before that clip that's in the video, but I think you look great. And look, you even get a little Lego version of yourself. That's a little unfair.
Of social media platforms. We want to clear up some common misconceptions and add some details.
Okay.
And yes, it gets even crazier. We will save the craziest detail for the end.
First of all, I am not Amanda.
These are the biggest holes in the story, yeah.
I'm Crystal, also go by Chris.
I'm Benjamin, not Reckless Ben, the YouTube documentarian. I'm Ben.
Yeah, I can immediately tell by their in direct support. Okay, so the people who were getting harassed weren't the former owners. These are the former owners, right?
Benjamin Gorman, the novelist. We co-owned the franchise.
I managed the store.
A novelist. Are these even popular books?
It's even crazier. We will save the craziest detail for the end.
First of all, I am not Amanda.
Personally enriching themselves off of this?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm Crystal, also go by Chris.
I'm Benjamin, not Reckless Ben, the YouTube documentarian. I'm Benjamin Gorman, the novelist.
Crystal has admitted to taking some of the the consigned stuff and forgot she still had it at her house. I'm going to assume that all of these fucking books are trash. I'm Benjamin Gorman, the novelist. I shares a name with Benjamin Netanyahu. Author and teacher. What would his most popular novels be? It seems that his most popular novels would be Don't Read This Book. He's like establishing himself as an author, but it seems like none of these fucking books have... It's a 3.9 out of 5 on Goodreads. And 1 out of 5 on Thrift Books. How many sales? 28. Okay, I assume that he hasn't gotten that many fucking sales. Dive deeper in AI mode. Can you give me sales or success data? I want to see how fucking like, you know, in like how like just lackluster this was. Specific raw sales figures such as total copies or cold or total copies sold or total revenue are not publicly available. Sales numbers remain private to the publisher. Through its critical reception, market longevity, and the author's overall career milestones. New York Times bestselling thriller author Chelsea Kane publicly praised the novel, calling it a whimsical, fast-paced delight, snappily written, deliciously funny, and smart. But that's a fucking nobody, realistically, right? Unless you're like a fucking, you know, unless you're like a fucking, you know, like a J.K. Rowling, somebody fucking said whatever. Who fucking cares? On major retail platforms, title operates as a mid-list indie title. It continues to maintain visibility, ranking primarily in the contemporary fantasy and fantasy action adventure. So I guess for an author, it's moderately successful, right? For an author, for an independent author, it's moderately successful. But in the grand scheme of things, it's fucking virtually like useless. It's virtually nothing. Virtually nothing. Sorry.
We co-owned the franchise.
I managed the store.
We purchased the franchise in February of 2023.
At first,
they moved out of America because of Trump. You know what? Fair enough. Silly, but fair enough. I would also move out of America in our current situation. Fuck, dude. Fuck, dude. I want. I definitely want to move into a larger house. Either I build like a large. Either I like take on a large project and hand build like a cat sanctuary on the current property that I'm at, or I move to a bigger house. But I think material wise it would probably be cheaper to, you know, take on a sanctuary project so that I can like ensure the safety of my cats. I'm like fucking traumatized from that entire like situation, dude. I genuinely just I was consulting. I was consulting with somebody that I know personally who does like literally right before I hit stream, I was consulting with somebody that I know personally about like how much it would cost to like build a an enclosure that would like, you know, offer enough space, enough safety, right? I'm talking like you know, concrete, dig proof, like, you know, barriers underground, what's it called, strong, like, you know, fencing that isn't just specifically you know, chicken fencing, because chicken, like, you know, fencing is like very weak. You can break that with your fucking hands, I'm pretty sure. Or most animals can like chew right through it. And they were like, yeah, you're gonna you're prepared to like spend about like $1,500 to like $3,000. So I'm very eager to get started on that project as soon as possible. Or that or like relocating, because dude, I want to give these guys like the, you know, the best life possible.
Everything.
Which made me start thinking. Fucking America's just a fucking terrible place to fucking live, dude. The United States is a terrible fucking place to live. When you think about like, you know, cost effectiveness, when you think about pricing, when you think about like, you know, fucking rent, like genuinely, it is no longer like the American dream is fucking dead. It is no longer viable to live anywhere in the United fucking States unless you live in the middle of fucking nowhere, Idaho, right? Where there's like fucking like zero, you know, property value, and you're like 10 miles away from everything. Actually.
Seemed to be going really well. There were problems right from the beginning, ways that BAM was not in compliance with their own franchise.
I think they should go through with the move and go run failed business somewhere far away. Yeah. I don't blame them for wanting to move away, but they're obviously not doing it for pragmatic reasons. They're doing it for political reasons because they're fucking morons.
Agreement, but the store was doing well. I loved my customers, and it seemed like everything was going to work out fine.
See, if I want to move out of the United States, like fucking Mexico or some shit, because I qualify for dual citizenship, even though I never saw, you know, seeked it, I probably would. I probably would, purely because of a pragmatic reason, like you know, having you know, cheaper housing, cheaper property, and you know, more space, right? Because where I live right now is fucking tiny, which allows me to like afford other stuff like very, very comfortably. Which is why I never asked for much, right? Which is why I just fucking like, you know, bought my car and like, you know, fucking spent money on like vet expenses like fucking nothing. So I would understand if they moved away for financial reasons, But moving away purely because of fucking Trump is gay as shit.
Then we decided to move overseas because of my work. I'm a publisher at a small press, not a pipe publishing, and we thought we might need to be publishing from outside the US for political reasons.
Wait, they just confirmed it. What a fucking retard. Wait, is that an Antifa song? Fuck, dude. I'd rather move to the Midwest than Mexico. That's what I thought so too, right? Like moving a little bit more north and east, which to you would be the Midwest if you're leaving the east side, right? Moving north to like back to like Georgia, or maybe a little bit more to like South Carolina, or maybe like West Virginia, right? It would probably be like cheap and comfortable. Maybe Ohio, right? Would probably be very cheap or comfortable, but like you're not benefiting like from the United States like you used to, right? You're like the welfare, the privileges of owning a house and like having it paying cheap property rates and all that shit. Like they're not nearly as strong as they are, right? And the social services that exist aren't nearly as strong as they used to be, which is like, funnily enough, even though people are rich and own housing, right? That's still something that people like benefit from. Whereas like Mexico is like currently heavily developing, better fucking welfare for its citizens and better like just like cheaper homes and cheaper housing and like fucking like less tax rates. How is Mexico's taxation? Let's see. Contrary to the expectation of tax cuts, Mexico has actually tightened and formalized tax collection for property ownership and home renting through recent reforms like the 2026 economic package. The Federal Tax Authority has implemented aggressive crackdowns, particularly targeting short-term digital rentals, to reduce widespread tax evasion. However, total tax liabilities can still be legalized or minimized or decreased using standard local incentives, early payment structures, and federal exemptions. Wait, okay, but what does this mean? That's for businesses. What does this mean for in the low to middle class? Low to middle class residents of Mexico, these recent tax formalizations are efforts to create a mixed and challenging reality. While the wealthier foreign real estate investors feel the bite of new digital rental regulations, everyday Mexican citizens are experiencing a direct rise in daily cost of living alongside. Okay, never mind. I was just completely fucking wrong on that. I heard about good tax regulations. I didn't realize that it actually just like fucking bit people in the ass for it. But what about welfare? To fund a historic multi-trillion peso expansion of social welfare program, specifically targeted for Mexico's low and middle class. Under the administration of President Claudia Sheinbaum, 2026 economic package funnels more than 1.3 trillion pesos, which is like $60 billion, directly into social welfare, touching roughly 42.8 million individuals beneficiaries from across the country. The Housing for Well-Being Initiative, recognizing the rent inflation and property costs are squeezing middle class and working class families. The government launched a massive social housing initiative. So yeah, it appears that it might be just more beneficial and cheaper, just especially if you're like well qualified. It might just be like more financially beneficial to just move to fucking Mexico than anywhere in the United States. And because there's welfare incentives, you can just like live a comfortable life in Mexico, as long as you don't get fucking raped by the cartels, which there's always a likelihood. It is a very real nightmare that like the cartels in Mexico, once you like fucking purchase a property, they'll just come rape you over it. Like literally, not figuratively. They'll come ruin your shit. They'll come ruin your fucking shit. What about cartel intervention in property ownership and cartel theft of property? Extortion and the outright theft of property are severe threats to real estate security in Mexico, directly undermining the regular property and welfare systems. Let's see. Extortion to ratio. Okay. Protection rackets. Forcible dispossession. Highly contested areas are lucrative agriculture tourist zones. Cartels engaged in dispossession, outright theft of fucking real estate. So yeah, you can just always get screwed out of fucking you can always just get screwed out of your fucking property. And it's very common. It's very common. It happens more likely than you think. How common is Mexican cartel dispossession for property owners? That's like the only real fear. Property dispossession, which has a Mexican word, despojo, by cartels and organized crime networks is exceptionally common in Mexico, functioning as a widespread epidemic. It has evolved from a sporadic issue in rural war zones into a systemic daily racket across both country-size and major metropolitan hubs. Which is why I would like always talk about how like they would just fucking like, you know, take over fucking schools and like, you know, turn them into like cartel headquarters. How common is it for schools and education centers to be taken over for cartel operations? I think the Midwest sounds like a good idea. Direct, permanent physical takeovers of schools by cartels to use an active criminal operational base is relatively rare. Okay, it's relatively rare. Instead, cartels routinely disrupt, threaten, extort, and force the mass closure of schools. I see. Mass closures of schools, not necessarily like, you know, the like, you know, the takeover of them for like, you know, cartel headquarters, but they still force schools to close down. Yeah, okay. Yeah. See, a good place in Mexico would be solid. But any private area, like let's say like you go to the countryside, like, you know, like 20 minutes away from the city where you have like a large property, your shit's gonna get raped. Your shit's gonna get raped more than likely, right? If crime wasn't a concern, living in Mexico would not be a bad idea whatsoever, right? Living in Mexico would not be an uncomfortable reality. It would be much better than living anywhere in the United States. But unfortunately, the cartels will just fucking, like, you know, literally come rape you. They will literally just come fucking rape your ass. Forced dispossession of your fucking, of like everything, dude.
When we approached BAM about selling the store, they pretended to be open to the idea, though they would later admit they had been planning this.
Yeah, Mexico is completely different, would be cool.
A guy named Brandon Best showed up on a Thursday night and demanded the keys. They threatened us with the police and promised to do an inventory and compensate us. They said they understood there was a large collection on consignment and acknowledged they were taking that over.
He's taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
They told us the same thing they told Brian Mansell, that we could fight them, but they would drag it out and make it so expensive we would be putting ourselves into a whole lot of shit.
The store was broken into 6 times in a little over a year, and there wasn't a security gate until the new owners took over. Irresponsible?
Their words. Here's their executive product manager and director of operations, Kai McAllister, on the phone with us the night they took the store.
If we go the legal route, it's going to be a very expensive battle for you.
Heard El Salvador's doing pretty good as long as you don't have tattoos. I've heard that what's it called, El Salvador. I heard that it's extremely difficult to get any sort of like employment in El Salvador, unless you have a very, very specialized, like, you know, occupation, like being a fucking doctor, right? Like being a fucking doctor, police officer.
And it's not going to be a good position for you guys to get into.
All I know is that like my main priority right now that I got my car, or one of my dream cars, I plan to get another in the future, just not, you know, not anytime soon. It is definitely giving like the utmost care to my cats. Definitely. That's kind of like become my main priority.
There's not a whole lot of options.
And part of that has like really had me like considering moving to like a larger place, so that I can like either keep them indoors or just, you know, building a outdoor sanctuary.
For you.
I'm thinking of like something like this. Thinking of like I want it to be big. If it's too small, I feel like, you know, I feel like an asshole. It needs to be relatively large. Relatively, as in like, you know, not an eyesore, but good enough space for them to like, you know, have a comfortable, you know, next to each other. Wait, what could I call it? A catio? Patio. I want to find a good image. Maybe something like this. Yeah, maybe something like this, but just maybe a foot or two bigger in both directions. So this is fire. This is fire. This is fire. Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Something like this, right? They can remain outdoors and not be completely like fucking, you know, upset inside. Bring them indoors overnight. Keep them outdoors so they can be, or maybe do like a window installation. This is pretty fire as well, right? This is pretty fire as well. I was thinking that as well, like putting it right outside my room, in the back. But in the back, like right outside my window in the back, unfortunately, it's like fucking like shrub. It's like shrub. It's shrubbery. So I'm afraid that if I do it in the back, I would have to clear out a lot of fucking like, you know, bullshit, and then it might attract what's it called, like bugs or flies and shit. So I would prefer like maybe a little bit larger up as well, so they have more like, you know, more climbing space. I want it to be pretty tall. Something like this. Something like this would be fire. Maybe a little bit larger. I blinked and missed the garden derail. Yeah. We're back on this shit. Where the fuck is it? But anyways, where were we?
If you want to go the legal route, it's just going to be a mess and it's going to be expensive for you.
Yeah, so why not consider talking with us rather than leaping to this?
We jumped on the call with Crystal this morning.
I wonder if they were like trying to regain control of consignment so that they can have ownership of the Legos and not have to like give it to like the family that it was taken from.
And you talked with her or you talked at her?
This is like just straight up a bunch of fucking like defamation on all angles. All of these people are fucking screwed.
We talked at her. If you fight this, then you're putting yourself into a whole lot of shit. It sounds like a threat, and I can acknowledge you feeling that because in a way it is.
I mean, we have no choice, correct?
Yes.
Notice, that's not some franchisee. That's corporate. They want to pretend they're not involved, but they have been involved every step of the way.
Of course.
I mean, they have to. They have to be. But this doesn't seem as malicious as people framed it. I've never heard this called. This doesn't seem as malicious as people framed it. It just seems like this guy's genuinely saying, like, hey, you need to back, you know, off before you, like, step into a legal battle that you're going to lose since you, like, forfeited your liability onto us.
This was a nightmare. We were about to move and now had our life savings taken from us. We still
our life savings
tried, but this loss made the relocation untenable.
All right, dude.
Eventually, we were able to find a lawyer to represent us in Utah, where BAM is headquartered.
We tried to negotiate with BAM. Just as they threatened, they dragged everything out and refused to even offer a settlement.
They've tried arguments that are so contradictory. They make no sense when put.
So what? So like. You wait. They sold. Wait. If I'm understanding this correctly, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. They sold their company alongside with like the legal liability, or they sold their business alongside like, you know, the legal liabilities, which includes the consignment, and now they're complaining. That like if you fail to like sell the consigned goods, right, and make your money off of it, that's your own fucking fault. That's your own problem. That is your own issue. You like I would assume that the business buying, like, they sold their business, right? I would assume that under the terms, right, as they claim, the consignment liability is now their issue. That includes the value of consignment. It's like they're having their fucking, like, they want their cake and eat it. They want to have their cake and eat it too. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. How did people fall for this?
Put together. They claim they own the store so they can take it. And
yeah, you sold the business that includes like the assets. The asset being the consigned products that they can then sell. The CEO has since said that Kai had no authority to say that. I guess it really just depends over. I guess it just depends on their, like let's say, okay. Then the issue still starts with them. If they said we're taking over the consignment and that was part of the business agreement, then why didn't they like, you know, make a like a, what's it called, an agreement for that? Why didn't they like, say that they want to like that? Why didn't they like, what's it called? Negotiate for that liability upon transition of like business ownership.
And also that they never owned the store in between taking it from us and selling.
If I sell my business, is the initial consignment agreement is an independent it's an independent consignment agreement. This is what I'm asking Gemini right now. I asked Gemini what a consignment was. They explained what a consignment was. If I sell my business, is an independent consignment agreement usually considered under the business value and then assumed by the new owners of said business? Right? So I'm asking it right now. Let's see what it says. An independent consignment agreement is factored into a business valuation and is typically assumed by the new owners, provided the contract permits the transfer. However, the exact financial impact and legal transfer depends heavily on whether you structure the transaction as an asset or stock sale. They have an agreement that mentions the transfer of consignment services, but the argument is that the portion only covers services, not products and consignment, from how I understand it. I know that contract has been like posted somewhere. I know that contract has been posted somewhere. Where is it? If David could find that, he's still listening.
Selling it to Brandon Best and Josh Johnson. It can't be both. They claim in their newest public statement that it's all our fault they took Brian Mansell's father's collection because they don't allow consignments. But they were always aware of the consignment. They promoted it when it was on the news and in the...
It seems like these people just botched everything every step on the way. They didn't it seems like these people were not smart enough or hired legal counsel to see it seems like typically when business owners do, especially, fuck dude. Because I've worked for independent businesses before. Typically in situations like this, as I've been friends for I've been good friends with business owners before. It is they hire somebody to evaluate their assets first before they do any sort of business transfership or before they do any assumption about how they're. I'm pretty sure business owners typically evaluate their business with a professional first before ever considering sales or to see where their business stands at in case they need to sell or in case they want to see how because believe it or not, most business owners are probably in heavy business debt because they got a loan to purchase a business or purchase a franchise. So they have to constantly calculate the current value of their business to see if they're upside down, if they gain any equity on their bit, whatever. You get my point. Why did they not hire somebody? It just seems like they did this completely recklessly. It seems like they fucked themselves every step of the way. I don't even feel bad for them. That's their own incompetency.
Newspaper a year before they took our store, and the franchise agreement expressly allows consignment in contradiction of their
franchise may also offer consignment services.
Newest statement.
Okay.
And we've since learned they were saying all kinds of crazy things about Crisp.
But did you sell that consignment liability, which would technically be an asset, right? In this circumstance, as a part of your fucking as part of the business ownership transfer agreement.
Behind her back, both to customers and to employees, which are slanderous, to try to blame this on her. And
it does seem like it's her fault. It seems like she never negotiated the agreement. And she's having to try to she's trying to have her cake and eat it too.
Once they even tried to say we never owned the store in the first place, which
is a possibility. It's entirely possible that you operated consignment because you purchased a fucking because you purchased a license for franchising using a fucking loan, in which case can you get a loan? Can you get a loan? And now I need to know this because now I'm getting into territory that I'm not too fucking aware of. Can you get a loan to franchise a business and not be an actual owner of the business? You not get a standard business loan to franchise a business if you will not have an ownership stake in it. Well, that doesn't mean what I'm trying to say. Commercial lenders and investors strictly require borrowers to have an equity in the business to ensure they have skin in the game and legal liability for the debt. Yeah. So yeah, obviously the business has to be valued more than the fucking loan, right? For them to for a loan to be viable, so they can actually have some sort of profit from it, right? But that means that they like their equity would still be entitled like, you know, part ownership, while the loan like offsets some of the business costs or some of like the business intake. They have an agreement that mentions the transfer of consignment services, but the argument that the portion only covers service, not products and consignment. I already read that, sorry.
all their claims that it's the previous...
It's very messy because without like, you know, reading a fucking contract or without seeing the contract, it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
previous owner's fault would be lies. And I guess that you were unpaid.
Don't give these people a penny. They are anti-American supporters of Antifa, a domestic terrorist organization that uses violence to suppress civil liberties of anyone that doesn't sign on their thuggish political agenda.
Paid labor for 2 years?
So yes, we are suing them.
And yes, they are trying to make it so expensive, we'll have to give up.
If you fight this, then you're putting yourself into a whole lot of shit.
We believe the best way to get Brian compensated is to win our lawsuit and include the full value of his collection in the damages so that he can...
I'm sorry, but when you read your corporate side of the story and timeline, it appears that the woman ran a terrible business. Did an unauthorized consignment deal she never told corporate about, yeah? Ran the store $200,000 into the negative and willingly wrote that off as a loss in exchange for their store back. I believe this woman is backstabbing, lying, and terrible operator as business owner, and is now trying for yet another money grab that she's not entitled to. It sounds like corporate is being very fair with everyone involved at the heart. Yeah, it sounds to me like it is a threat, so that they can save themselves a legal battle that they are never going to win under any circumstance, because they are just simply not in the right here.
And then be compensated.
So if you want to help Brian get paid for his collection and help us,
and hold these horrible people accountable,
please donate to our GoFundMe so that we can afford to fight them to the bitter end.
How much money do they get from this GoFundMe? Very, very curious. $77,000 of $90,000, dude. And if it's easy to get money from fucking GoFundMe for like making up a fucking like arbitrary story, I have a very real story that I can use. I'm not gonna.
And if you can't afford to donate, we get that. Please share this so that more people see this.
We've learned they've done this to other franchise owners, and we want to hear from other people BAM has treated in this same way.
Please don't harass.
All right, who's tapped into Persona? I'm kind of tired of this story. I'm not tapped into Persona at all, but I've always like been interested in getting into it. I really like JRPGs. It's just that I haven't played one since like Golden Sun. Four is the best one. Is that why you want to get 4, not 6? 6 is a new installation, is it not? Like, yeah, it's Persona 5 was like the the most recent one up until 6. This is the next one. Dude, I just know that if like Etika were alive right now, he'd be freaking his shit at this, right? He'd be doing like the reaction. He'd be doing the reaction. Is that what is that? What is that? Atlas? What is this? What is this? A new horror game? New Japanese horror game? And then as the reveal comes out and it's like Persona 6, he'd be like fucking like jumping in his chair, like fucking screaming Persona! Ah! Fuck, dude. I'm in a very vulnerable state. I'm in a very emotional and vulnerable state if any woman wants to take advantage of me. That's a joke, by the way. That is a joke. But fuck, dude, I'm just remembering. I'm remembering so many, so much old nostalgic. I'm in my feelings type shit, you know what I mean? And we have the Halo, he's left a hole in our hearts, dude. This is the Halo campaign. I'm definitely gonna get this game. This is probably like the only like money that I'll throw away on something, you know, completely pointless.
You've heard the story.
The first Halo game I've ever played was Combat Evolved, right? So I'm eager to, like, you know, play this game and relive my childhood.
The Chief. Stuff of legends.
Does Gamma have a stream schedule? Absolutely fucking not. I don't. Did I just get a raid? Because the notification didn't pop off if I got a raid. Or did people just join randomly? But yeah, I don't have a what's it called? I don't have a stream schedule, you know. Whenever I have time, I go live. And whenever I have time is like during the weekends. So no, I don't have a stream.
But that's not the story I'm telling today. This one you haven't heard. Op started simple enough. Drop in, grab the goods, get out before anyone noticed. Well, guess what? They noticed.
Dude, it just looks so fire. It just looks so fucking fire, dude. I can't wait. I actually can't fucking wait. 3 new missions launching on July 28th. I can't fucking wait.
You learned to
So what? They're gonna let you play as Johnson?
read the battlefield.
Been here for a while. Oh, thank you for being here.
This
is just that I haven't seen you guys chat before.
Place more of a freak show. And trust me, I know freaky.
It was research at first, but I got derailed with random bullshit, which was like ultimately the goal. Because I need to draft like the next section of my video so that I can research that one. Let's see. Dude. Hold on. What was it?
I'll turn it over to someone I think you know. I think I know who this is. Oh shit! It's time, baby!
Okay, not the roster reveal, this one.
Are you sure that's all? Oh, well, actually, we have one more announcement. Oh my god. Please take a look at our last video for the day.
Flash Mothers? No, it's not Flash Mothers. No, there's no way it's Flash Mothers. No. Okay, Splatoon, Splatty-toon. Yeah, what up?
Dude, I can just imagine how this would go for the fucking like Persona reveal.
Okay, Splatty-toon.
Him probably thinking like, oh, we're getting a new horror game. Kind of crazy.
This is Smash, bro. No way.
This is Smash, bro. No wait. This is Smash, bro. No wait. Roblox. Fuck, dude.
No way. A movie? A Splatoon movie. This is a lot of action right now, bro. Like, what could it be? Like a different mode? No way, this is... Oh my god!
Fuck,
oh
dude.
my fucking god! Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! Holy shit! Holy fucking shit! It's happening! Nigga, it's happening!
Dude, no one could ever fucking do it like him, dude. No one could ever fucking do it like him. Gosh fucking damn it, dude.
Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! That's all they needed, baby! That's all that was needed, baby! Oh my fuck! Oh my fucking god! That's all we needed! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my God! It's happening! Baby girl, you back in the game!
dude, hold on. This is real ones remember, real Etika remembers, what's it called? Beef stew?
Zella, Subway footlong? Really? The nigga named himself Subway?
It's been 9 fucking years, dude. Holy shit.
Timberlands and beef stew nights.
Dude, I need to steal that fucking bit. I need to steal that bit from him. He would do fucking cahoots with viewers. I need to steal that fucking bit from him. I need to steal that bit from him, dude. I need to fucking like pay somebody to like make a fucking commentary cahoot of like fucking commentary drama and just do that.
1997. Wait, can I like block these niggas? If I click this nigga's name, can I like take him off? I take him off. I take him off. No one would deserve that. All he did was try to complete a cahoot, and he was killed.
There was a guy who used to make this guy became his own YouTuber. Real ones know this lore. Real ones know this lore. Now we're on this like, you know, Etika derail. Wait. Hold on. I was gonna end stream in like the next 5 minutes, but something just came out that I can cover for the next like hour. But we're gonna fucking do this like brief Etika segment. Then I'm gonna use the restroom and check on my cats, and then we can fucking. But there was this dude, there's this fucking guy who used to like be an Etika chatter, right? And used to make like t-shirts called Look Bomber, and he became his own YouTuber. I wonder what he's doing right now. I know he like started doing his own shit and he got relatively successful. But he was primarily like an Etika clipper, like an Etika archiver that would like make shirts. Fuck, dude.
Anyways, we get. Oh fuck! Luke Bomber came through, dog. I saw that Halloween costume. This nigga.
$100 fucking dude.
I know. I gotta show you.
No one could ever do it as good as him, bro.
That was some funny ass shit, Luke. It was $100 donation. God damn it, man. Wait a minute, y'all. Did you guys see this shit? Luke Bomber for Halloween. You know what he was dressed as? Me, nigga. This nigga dressed up. He put the fucking high top fade on at the subway.
Oh wait, yeah, I remember the fucking Subway footlong meme. I remember the fucking Subway footlong meme from the fucking Kahoot earlier. He fucking like measures a Subway sandwich for a fucking video review, and he's like wearing a fucking suit, and he measures it and it's a fucking inch less.
At Subway restaurants. Well, a recent Facebook picture is actually the culprit behind the reason. A person in Australia, specifically
a person in Australia, dude,
actually went into a Subway restaurant to purchase a sandwich, and he noticed that his sandwich was on a little bit of a lean side. So he pulls out his measuring tape, and it turns out that his sandwich measures only 11 inches. Now, Subway customers are doing this nationwide because the photograph itself received more than 131,000 likes and thousands upon thousands of comments. 4 out of 7.
Dude. All right, that's enough. That's enough reminiscing. That's enough reminiscing. That's enough reminiscing. Actually, I'll let this play. I'm gonna go use the restroom.
Hello and welcome to the Etika World Network news segment. My name is Etika, corresponding for this news story today. Why are people pulling out their measuring tapes at Subway restaurants? Well, a recent Facebook picture is actually the culprit behind the reason. A person in Australia, specifically Perth, actually went into a Subway restaurant to purchase a sandwich, and he noticed that his sandwich was on a little bit of a lean side. So he pulls out his measuring tape, and it turns out that his sandwich measures only 11 inches. Now, Subway customers are doing this nationwide because the photograph itself received received more than 131,000 likes and thousands upon thousands of comments. 4 out of 7 $5 footlongs purchased at Subways in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens measure only 11 or 11.5 inches. Because of this, the craze of people measuring their sandwiches is all over the United States right now. Even I've done it myself going to the recent Subways that are around here in this neighborhood, and let me just say, most of the times my sandwiches only come up to 10 inches, maybe even 11 on a good day. So this is something that Subway does acknowledge, but they have not put out an exact reaction to it to be able to assess the problem, though they do claim that the bread does shrink when it is toasted, but there have been multiple occasions where people have reported that their breads have been less than 12 inches, whether they have been toasted or not. Considerably enough, in my honest opinion, I believe that Subway sandwiches are getting smaller, but rather maybe not exactly only by length, but by width as well. It can be seen in multiple photographs that Subway sandwiches do differ in width as well as length. So this way they do cut down on a little bit of bread shortages, I suppose, by making sure that breads are reduced in size in both angles. So it is an interesting topic to think about. And basically that is it. This is the Ethical World Network news segment, and I will talk to you all later on. Thank you for tuning in. Take care of yourself, and please have a good one and stay informed.
I'm investigating a $200,000 Lego dispute that's turning into one of the craziest legal cases in years. Brian Mansell claims that Bricks and Minifigs stole one of the largest Lego collections in the world, and the YouTuber who tried to get it back—
I'm back. All right, I'm back. Fuck, dude. Oh, dude. I wish there was somebody like Etika that I could watch every day. You know, that's why I really like, you know, watching smaller streamers. Like good subtitles. That's why I really like watching smaller streamers like Jimmy, right? I love my bro Jimmy. That's why I like watching, you know, smaller streamers like what's it called? Well, Sleepy isn't really a smaller streamer, but when he streams, his streams are really, really good. That's why I like watching Marcus. That's why I like watching Nas. Because it's like it makes me like, you know, really, yeah, Nas especially. It brings me back. It brings me back to the fucking good old days, dude. Dude, it's just so fucking, it's just so good, you know? It's just like, it has that fucking energy that you just don't fucking get anymore with like modern streamers. It just has that fucking like Nas especially. Remember that fucking whole bit he was doing with fucking Kanye? If you thinking about dropping an album, push it back, dude. That whole fucking bit, fire. That whole bit was fire, dude. Nas, super fucking underrated. Super underrated. Am I crying? No. I would never cry on stream. But I would be lying. If I said that I don't have a lot of like fucking emotion for this shit, right? It's just so fucking good, dude. It's just so, that fucking Nas stream was so fucking fire, bro. That Nas stream was so fucking fire, dude. If you're thinking about dropping a commentary video, push it back. Where is it? Nas is gonna be the next best streamer on the fucking block. Is it this one right here? You see what happened? No, unless you're talking about like this right here that just occurred. Literally this right here that just occurred. What do you suggest? Like, what are you bringing up right now? Get rid of all this. Is it Ethan Klein related? Please tell me it's something badass. Please tell me it's something like interesting. It was towards the end. Not supposed to stream today. He doesn't stream on weekends. He streams on weekdays. Right? He's like heavy into the day of resting. Where is that, dude? No, this was before. It might have been here. Where was it? Where the fuck was it, dude? Smash. Would have been after Smash. We need to appreciate Nas before God takes him too.
Thanks for the info, Mr. Nerd.
He was watching a video. I know he was watching a video, so it's gonna be in the title. Honor vs. Destiny Part 2. No, it would have been. He was watching a fucking video dropped by what was his name? By Liquid Sonic. Dickers destroys. No, Aiden Dickers destroy Destiny. It would have been the Liquid Sonic video. Touch Queen monologue. Break Snark. Where was it, dude? That was such a fire stream. Where the fuck was it? I always say I want to stream more, but I never do. When I get really in my groove, I can actually do like really, really solid work, but I just haven't been in my groove in quite a while. Was it this? I need to find that. I need to find that stream, dude. I need to watch that. No more Brother Wars bit. Push it back. Here's what I'm gonna do. Nos live. I'm just gonna fucking film on it. I'm just gonna fucking film on it. Somebody needs to make a fucking Kahoot. We need to do the Kahoot stream. Absolutely, we need to do the Kahoot stream. We need to do the commentary Kahoot stream. That would be fire. Commentary Kahoot stream. That would be fire. I need somebody to get on that. Nos live. Hold on. Push it back. Nos. Somebody needs to clip that. Can you do the voice to remind us of him? Dude, we all know that I fucking suck at doing the Mexican voice. We all know that I fucking suck at doing the you know, hey Holmes, it's kind of like I kind of like speaking English and stuff, you know. I can't do it. I can't do it as good as him. Where the fuck, dude? Practice makes perfect. I'm just not good. I'm just not good at it. Fuck, dude. Nos better at being Mexican than you? That's crazy. What do you want me to say, dude? What do you want me to say? Make you self-conscious about has a better Mexican than you. Not really. I've always been like pretty anti-culture, if that makes any sense. I've never really liked the idea of, like, you know, holding on to cultural standards or cultural traditions or cultural rules, right? So like for example, Catholicism. For example, like I'm not a big fan of Catholicism or, like, you know, any sort of religion because of, like, the, you know, very, very strict rules that in most cases ends up harming people. Gamma hates Mexicans. Actually, no, I just hate the idea of, like, having to be defined by a culture, of having to be defined by, like, you know, cultural rules of cultural identities. So like for example, part of the reason why I dislike, like, you know, certain cultural attributes of certain, like, regions is because of, like let's use Mexico as a straight example. As a direct example, it's like, for example, machismo. Mexico has a very, very terrible, and as well as, like, most Southern American countries have. I had a debate with Aiden about this, and he actually made a really, really good point that I still use to this day. Fuck. I would probably have this debate with Aiden again on stream, probably because it would be entertaining. But Mexico has a really, really bad machismo culture, as well as, like, most other South American countries. Where, unfortunately, women, because of, like, the hypermasculinity, or because of, like, the toxic masculinity that heavily thrives in these you know, countries, women do end up facing a lot of, like, you know, violence. They end up facing a lot of, like, inequalities. They end up facing a lot of, like, you know, struggles and issues that you don't really see often, except in, like, very, very traditionalist, very, very, like, you know, religious countries, which is, like, you know, some Islamic countries, which is bad, of course. And part of the reason why I feel a lot of, like, you know, men grow up in these environments and, like, end up, you know, repeating the cycle of abuse is because like, that type of culture is ingrained into them and you know, forms their identity, right? So that's why I never like really, you know, embraced, I want to say, like, you know, aspects of like Mexican culture, because I've always thought that like embracing cultures is just kind of like lame, kind of like just, you know, you should be defined by your own values. Shouldn't be defined by the values around you, which is why I've never like really cared to like, you know, embrace like, you know, my my Mexican heritage, for lack of better words. Does it like alienate me a little bit? Yeah. Do I really care that much? Not really. Where the fuck is this? This? I need to find this stream, dude.
That'd be great.
After this.
Associate with them. That's really bad.
The stream was good too.
No, but it's just like, hey,
the stream was good too because of the iNot stuff, but that's not the fucking, you know, thing that I care about. Where is it? Oh, it's towards the fucking end, dude. Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. Here it is.
I adopted these niggas, put them drumming in. Now I'm about to make them tuck their whole summer in. They say I'm crazy when I'm about to go dumb again. They ain't see me cause I pulled up in my other...
Hold on.
Even any flubbed lines, and video should
really
be
driving a Ram TRX. Why did I not notice this?
Longer than 10 minutes. These rules weren't strictly followed, but him and Godwinson did create a lot of content just yelling into their phones. They were normal people talking about their passions, calling people out, and most importantly,
can't fucking find it, dude. Where was
it?
a few songs if he plays a couple. Oh shit, what's this new song? Oh, this is gonna be fire, right? This is 30 minutes long. This is 22 minutes long. This is the only place that you could listen to this, right? The only place you could listen to this song. By the time you got to work, he hadn't even played the song in full once.
Young Sam,
and that's
awesome.
Real transformative content right here.
John Manili, I see you.
John Manili, I see you. This is what substances start doing. Yes. Push that substance. If you want clicks, you gonna clip this. Yes. Clippers, if you're thinking about putting out clips for the summer, push it back.
Push it back.
This clip gonna keep the commentary community warm for the whole summer. It's over. It's done.
Listen to me.
This entire fucking hour was just dude, he spent a fucking hour on this bullshit, dude. This entire hour was fire. This entire fucking hour was fire, dude. Push it back.
Right now, this is what it is for the summer. Understand it.
This entire segment right here, somebody, so like Nas could be the commentary Etika. I'm telling you, Nas could be the commentary Etika. This segment right here, this entire segment right here, right? We need to cut it down and we need to upload it as a fucking standalone video. We need to do that. We need to do that right now. Every other streamer, your clipping days, push them back. Alright, dude.
This record might keep the summer warm till December.
You obviously did not watch the whole video. What are you fucking talking about? Become Israel.
Alright, dude. Okay. Moving on.
This hateful IRL streamer is now facing more than 60 years in prison, was given a $1 million bond while he awaits trial in multiple criminal cases. And if you don't know who this is, we're talking about the IRL streamer Chud the Builder and the absolute dumpster fire of a mess that he got himself into. So it's safe to say things aren't really looking good for this guy. It all comes after he essentially made himself internet's public enemy #1 by streaming himself throwing around a bunch of racist insults and trying to get people to engage with him either verbally or physically. And when they do, he often then brandished a weapon like pepper spray or even a firearm. And then the person antagonizes to make the decision, is this worth ruining my life over? But regardless, this idiot has been doing this for months on repeat in the name of freedom of speech. And then of course he got banned and demonetized from site after site for his hateful content and behavior. He's essentially the worst form of IRL streaming. As many of you guys know, I am very familiar with this niche as I've been covering the worst of it for many years now, even flying to both South Korea for the Johnny Smalley stuff and the Philippines for the Vitaly situation. Well, this guy absolutely takes the cake. I didn't know the bar could stoop lower, but he proved me wrong. So it's safe to say that Chud here, he got what he wished for, since he's caused enough outrage with his behavior that people apparently were putting up bounties on his head and trying to track him down IRL.
See, that's the my whole thing is I think that people should be able to say whatever they want without threat of violence. You've already got a bounty on your head right now, dude.
Wait, I want to watch this crazy taxi. Clip. If it's anything at all like old arcade, like, you know, fucking destruction racing games, this is gonna be fire. Is that Rage Against the Machine? Is this? I can't tell if this is Rage Against the Machine or Rise Against, because I've never heard the song, but the like fucking instruments and like the style of vocals is like very, very. Any music knowers? Any music knowers in chat who can confirm? It does sound like Offspring too, doesn't it? You're right. Okay, there we go. I finally fucking heard some lyrics that I can like identify. Oh yeah, it is literally The Offspring. It is All I Want by The Offspring. This might be fire. This might be fire, but I just don't like the I don't like the cartoony cars. This might be fire, I just don't like the cartoony cars. Alright.
Oh, do I? Do I? Talk about the bounty. Let's talk about the bounty.
And obviously, just watching all this unfold before we got to this massive boiling point, it felt like it was inevitable something real was going to happen.
It's only like the proper escalation, you know? It's only inevitable.
It's only the proper escalation. It's only inevitable. What? That you're gonna fucking like pop somebody? Because you're instigating them?
It's only inevitable. And he's gonna pull his gun out and try to kill me. I'm out to defend myself. And then the race war will begin.
It almost seemed like...
Okay, so yeah. So it's all premeditated. I'm pretty sure that you could argue that like even from the very get-go, because his intent was to cause like, you know, an escalatory situation like that. You could argue that under most circumstances, regardless of which one it was, he was always going to like, you know, be planning a premeditated murder.
Like, that's what his goal was.
Yes.
We're in America, bro. They want to threaten your life. You take theirs. You put them on the ground. Then you go live on Kick. You say, look at this dumb laying dead on the ground.
Holy shit, bro. Dude,
that's how you go.
I'm not gonna lie.
That is literally, okay. Most people could say like that he's joking around, right? Most people could say that he's joking around. But given the fact that he went through with a situation very like eerily similar, if not just straight up, you know, like went through with what he was, you know, preaching. This would just be evidence for premeditation rather than just him like fucking joking around. He's fucking screwed. He is screwed.
That's how you go viral. You'll get double the followers you got, I guess.
And even claims so on Twitter. But tensions had been building across Chud's community and the general public as copycats started popping up left and right. And they were essentially just applying the same formula as slinging slurs around in public places and filming people's reactions.
What do y'all think about?
Whoa!
Don't say that.
Okay, I was just wondering.
What? Use an N-word.
What do you think about?
Don't say that.
I was curious.
And I guess him and his supporters are using these safety blankets of free speech and self-defense as their excuse for this behavior. But now, Chud might be in trouble for a little bit more than just his mouth. And that's because he got not one, not two, but 3 ongoing court cases for charges in the range from thefts and disorderly conduct to attempted delete. And now, the self-proclaimed tough guy is asking people like Aiden Ross to come to his rescue and post his $1 million bail. And I guess he's like off.
Aiden Ross probably consulted with a lawyer and was like, can I do this? He probably consulted with a PR team and a lawyer and was like, can I do this? Would this be a good idea? Lawyer was probably like, no, that would never work. Bail would never be accepted. And also, it would be fucking terrible because the guy's like a legitimate fucking racist that's gonna go to jail. That's probably what happened in the background there.
Bring to box for free.
The fuck was the idiot stealing? I can only assume that he probably like if he got like for less than $1,000, he probably he probably like, you know, stole somebody from like his mom, maybe his dad, maybe his girlfriend, right?
In his next event as an exchange.
Listen, Aiden, it's Dalton, Chud. If you can get me out, help with the bond. I cannot access my funds until I get out of here because no one has access to any of my Gifts and Go or my crypto wallets, etc. I have to get out of here so that I can get verification processes to get into all of these funds. I will fight for free. If you can help me out to post bail, I will fight for free. We'll do whatever it is you want to do, bro.
If you post bail, I will fight for free. You can do whatever it is that you want to do, bro. He's just making it. He's just making it obvious, right? I will fight for free. What is like the implication there, right? It would be political narrative, like, you know, like narrative movements. I will fight for free. Or is he talking about like I will fight for free as in like I will fight at a boxing match for you for free, right? Because it would be incredibly yeah. If you post bail, I will fight for free. It's $1 million bail. That would probably be his first at a fight. Never mind. I'm reading too much into it. I'm reading too much into it.
Somebody with big money who can throw down, who can support me.
And this is all while Chud's supporters think he's having his freedom stripped away unfairly, and that the people who hate him just want to
13 months of you and morale, Lord save me. Look, just know that your money is going into good hands, all right? Your money is going into good, you know, I mean, your money isn't being spent, you know, like retardedly, all right? Your money isn't being spent retardedly is all I can say.
See an example.
Mitch got a fucking membership. Thank you for sending another membership. Incredibly appreciated.
Made of him, but
to make it very clear, there's like not a single day that I don't go by appreciating even like the little extra revenue that I get from YouTube.
Ultimately, Chud might be his own worst enemy when it comes to his own downfall, because the dude just seems to be obsessed with live streaming himself fantasizing about.
I'm a penny pincher, primarily, right? So I'm not gonna say it's exclusively for cats. I feel like that would be like a little bit emotionally manipulative. But the money definitely gets saved. And I use it only when I absolutely need to buy food, right? Because I fucking like barely eat, or I spend it on like, you know, utilities, only utilities or emergencies, right? Only utilities and emergencies. The Mustang, I had a separate amount of money, like, you know, saved up for buying a car because I was always gonna like finance a car, especially if it was like within a good price range, which it was, so that I could like, you know, strengthen my credit, because I had really good credit, and it's gotten even better because of the car, right? It was always going to be like, you know, a goal to like eventually finance a car that I really want, using like really strong entry credit, and then build my credit off of that car into like, you know, the super high 700s, the super high like 800s. My score is actually really high right now. I don't want to say the exact number, but I can say that it's like, you know, very comfortably above, you know, the mid 700s, right? The mid 700s. I won't give a specific you know, number. It's higher now. I mean, is it really like, you know, bad to just say that? I don't care. I'm not gonna reveal it. If anybody's fucking curious, you know, I'll probably tell them in earnest, privately. But yeah, the money for the car was like a completely separate pool of cash that I hadn't, you know, been saving up for the car, and everything else is like, you know, primarily like, you know, other things. I was watching the beginning of a stream. Your argument against Pegasus, if you talk shit on Hassan, that automatically makes you a political commentator. I feel like that's dumb as Hassan's argument. No, the argument isn't that if you talk shit on Hassan, it makes you a political commentator, right? Okay. It's not that that makes him automatically a political commentator, right? I feel like that my reasoning was actually like significantly more established than that. The argument is that if you are attempting to discredit somebody, right, which he is, especially the way that he frames his video, because these are all like narrative tools that people use when like actually producing content, especially political content, then by the nature of the way that you're producing your video, it is political. It is inherently political, even if he doesn't realize it, right? So he may want to like, you know, feign ignorance and try to get out of like, you know, confrontation or you know, a debate with Hassan by saying like, oh, I'm not a political commentator. Why don't you want to debate me? That excuse doesn't work because on the face of Pegasus attempting to discredit somebody primarily off of his political beliefs, it is inherently political content, right? Let's say that Pegasus made a video tomorrow only making fun of Hassan because he like, you know, says something complete, like, you know, gaming related, or because he says something completely ignorant about something completely unrelated to politics, like, you know, what foods you should be eating for the gym or how you should be macroing or something like that, then you could call that apolitical, and making fun of him would not be political in nature. But that's not what he does specifically. What he does is that he attempts to discredit him and his political, you know, angles and his political speech at every angle, which makes his content inherently political. I only think that works if he was attacking his political arguments in his videos. No. That's a very very like, you know, straightforward way of like, and surface level way of viewing it. But let's put this into perspective. For example, right? In most of Pegasus videos, something that Pegasus says as a legitimate fucking, you know, point of argumentation against Hassan is that Hassan is a terrorist supporter and he deserves to, you know, be you know, put in prison for being like a terrorist supporter, right? That is a political comment. That is a political, you know, argument, because he's not actually engaging with Hassan's like argumentation as to why he supports these quote unquote, like, you know, terrorist figures, right? So for example, I could say that I support Hamas, but I don't support their anti-humanitarian, like, you know, structure, right? So I can say I support Hamas because they are currently engaged in a war attempting to protect their Palestinian citizens from, you know, Israel's, like, you know, disproportionate attacks, right? That would be a defense of, you know, of Hamas through its citizens, not a defense of Hamas through their, like, you know, what's it called, terroristic attacks on Israel, or their, like, you know, torture of, like, you know, Israeli citizens and whatnot, right? So because like Pegasus just attacks Hassan without engaging with Hassan's reasons as to why he supports these, you know, organizations, and just calls him a terrorist supporter, he is attempting to discredit his politics by not adding substantive commentary, which in and of itself is political commentary. In and of itself, it is a political attack, right? On his content, on his person. So yes, Pegasus's like content is inherently political because he's always attempting to discredit Hassan's political beliefs, right? If he were making fun of him for saying something stupid like, oh, I think the new fucking Halo is going to be fucking retarded and gay, right? And he was making like a video saying, oh, this guy had a terrible take about like, you know, gaming. It wouldn't be politics as in, like, you know, government politics, or like, you know, or like I want to say policy, right? It would be gaming politics, but it's still politics nonetheless. It's just like, you know, people typically don't observe it that way. And he would be, like, you know, right to say that he's technically apolitical in that aspect. So, no, the argument that I made wasn't dumb. It's just that a lot of people will fail to realize that he actually is political. I don't know how much Pegasus vids are attacking his political shit. I thought it was mostly slop shit. Slop shit can be political. Even like, okay, even though Pegasus isn't smart enough to properly attack a political argument, it doesn't mean that his videos are not political. It doesn't mean that his videos are not inherently political. It just means that he's not aware of it, right? When you're attempting to discredit a political figure by attacking their credibility, by making fun of them, or by like trying to, you know, or by trying to like make fun of a certain comment that he made about Hamas, you know, Hamas Diddy Piker, that is political. You are discrediting somebody who is attempting to, you know, argue left-leaning politics, right? Yeah, given the fact that a terrorist organization is deeply tied into Israeli politics, right? Even so much as like mentioning Hassan being a terrorist supporter automatically makes your commentary political. So yes, his videos are inherently political, whether he wants to believe it or not, right? The moment your interface, the moment you say, oh well, I don't believe, I think that you're a fucking terrorist supporter. At the moment you say, I think you're a terrorist supporter because about what you said about Hamas, that is engaging with Hassan's arguments about Hamas, right? Probably in a very, very bad way because he doesn't actually know what Hassan believes about Hamas, right? You are already entering the political fray and having a political discussion at that point. If I say socialists are fucking retarded and not explain Hassan's reasoning for liking or elaborate at all, I feel like that's kind of political. But that's the thing. Is like, it is even if it is very, very surface level and not that substantive, it is very much political. It is very much political, right? It's all about the dynamics. It's all about the dynamics, right? If every single video that he made was completely disconnected from Hassan being a political figure, which they aren't, then yeah, he would be completely like right in saying that he's an apolitical individual and that he's not political at all. But that's just not true, right? But because every one of his videos serves a purpose to discredit Hassan and to make fun of his character, right? Off the fact that Hassan is a very detestable socialist individual, then yes, you are entering the political sphere because you influence the way that people perceive Hassan and his politics and his beliefs. So once you start influencing the way that people perceive Hassan, his politics and his beliefs and his ideas and the things that he says, you are doing politics. You are making political content, even if it doesn't feel that way, even if it doesn't seem that way, right? The same way that making fun of Trump for being fucking orange can be political. You are discrediting him as an individual, right? Who is a political figure. That is political. I feel like attacking characters and political takes are super separate. Find a distinction. Find a meaningful distinction then. Right? I don't say that to be rude. I'm saying that because like you can say that, but that doesn't mean it's true, right? If you feel that way, then what the first step after that should be, well, why do I feel that way? You should ask yourself, why do I feel like it's super separate? Can I make a genuine distinction that logically proves that these things are separate? That means any attack on Hassan is political? No, it doesn't mean that any attack on Hassan is political. It heavily depends on what goes into said attack, right? So say, for example, I criticize Hassan for like shocking his dog. You can call that 100% apolitical. That is a moral concern, right? That is separate from politics. But if I attack Hassan because he's a quote-unquote terrorist supporter, right, in an attempt to discredit his politics, because he's a terrorist sympathizing, socialist, that is political, because you are attempting to influence the perception of his beliefs, which are political in nature, which means that you are giving political commentary, right? It's for the purpose of discrediting somebody whose politics you don't like. Yeah, then it is a political take. It is a political take. Attempting to discredit him as a political activist by calling him a uncredible, ridiculous, less credible than a crackhead is attempting to undermine his reputation, which, on the face of it is a political, attack on Hassan. You're saying that he shouldn't be taken seriously as a political activist. You say any attack on character would be political? I mean, I might have said it, but I didn't mean it like that. I might have said it in those exact words, but I didn't mean it like that. But I'm pretty sure my point still stands, right? It depends on the differentiation and the purpose of said character attack. Most character attacks that Pegasus delivers onto Hassan are going to be political in nature because they heavily involve his dislike of politics and his perception of politics, right? The reason why people dislike Hassan from its inception, at least if you ask a normal person, is, well, I dislike Hassan because he's anti-American, right? That is political. I dislike Hassan because he said America deserved 9/11. That is a political take. I dislike Hassan because he said he supports terrorist organizations in Palestine. That is a political take. I dislike Hassan because he shocked his dog. That is not a political take. That is a moral argument. That is a moral grievance. That is like a moral, apprehension. So those are drastically different. I just hate everyone saying everything is political. It's kind of making everyone pick a side. I don't disagree with you, right? I don't disagree with you. There are some people that will genuinely like be fucking super insufferable and say, well, you gotta like our art is inherently political. All art is inherently political. Okay, what's political about like, you know, me smearing shit all over a canvas into the shape of a dog and calling it fucking political, right? And calling it like, you know, art. Well, what's political about that? I do agree with you, but in this case, just strictly logically, it is political. It is inherently political, right? It doesn't feel that way because you think you're just consuming slop. That is you personally making identifications that aren't necessarily correct, right? That's not even a fault on you. That's just a lack of like, you know, that's not necessarily a fault on you. Most people aren't typically taught to like, you know, perceive you know, situations like that or perceive, you know, like media like that, right? Most people aren't perceived to like really make connections like that. And in some cases, being forced to acknowledge it as political can be uncomfortable for most people because there's a heavy like, you know, identity crisis when it comes to like politics. It's like if I don't choose right, my friend group and culture group is gonna disown me. They're gonna dislike me because I'm not a right leaning individual. If I don't choose the left, all of my other friends that are super progressive are gonna fucking disown me because you're right that there is like a heavy like identity conflict with the, you know, with situations like that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't want to perceive certain things as political, even though they like, you know, if you don't feel like it, even though they actually are, right? It is very unfortunate that like a lot of things just are politics, and the reason why people refuse to interface with it in a way that is like actually meaningful or in a way that people understand is because people are too uncomfortable in picking a side, right? People are too uncomfortable in making their, you know, potentially you know, conflicting interests known, because then it causes like a dissonance. It causes a disconnect from their, you know, from their culture, from the people around them. If I attack Hassan as a bad person for shotting his dog to attack his moral character, will you consider that political? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is your own personal dislike, presumably because you have an attachment to animals. I wouldn't call that political. That would be moral, right? That would be your own moral, you know, apprehension, right? Well, what's political about that? If you really think about it, what is political about it? If you were to attack Hassan as a bad person for shocking his dog, and then saying that because of that, all of his politics and all of his beliefs are wrong, right? That would be political. But if you stop that, I dislike Hassan because he shocked his dog, that would not be political. You are not tying into, you know, political ideas or political practices. If I hope that clarifies it. I hope that clarifies it. If at any point, you know, Pegasus made videos where he was like strictly making fun of Hassan for like a stupid opinion that he had about like fucking, you know, clam chowder or like, you know, or like fucking you know, video games. No, it wouldn't be political. It would just be like, you know, it would just be like personal grievances. It would just be like, you know, personal opinion.
About committing the very crimes he's now claiming are self-defense.
Chud the Builder, known for starting and harassing people. Starting things and instigating and harassing people. Shoots and black man. That's what I was going to say all over the headlines. Watch me shoot this. Hey, bro, pull up. Pull up. As soon as I see you, bro, I'm shooting your brains out. Let me see a with a weapon. I'm not sparing another one because I did it last time. That guy walking up with a
Actually,
gun.
you know what? This is kind of boring, and it's pretty self-explanatory. He's going to be going to fucking jail because he obviously committed the fucking crime he's being accused of. This Pegasus stuff is more interesting to me. All right. Let's choose a random video. Let's choose a random video. Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's choose a random video before he was like fully invested into this shit. Jesus fucking videos. All right, where is it? Where is it? All right. Hassan fucked up bad, number 75.
Welcome back to a series so goated, even Naruto subscribed. In today's video, Hassan is now calling Israelis inbred.
Political. Right there, immediately. Political take. Literally right there. Hassan is now calling Israelis inbred. Why do you care?
And bloodthirsty.
And bloodthirsty. Why? Okay. Why do you want to make an argument about that now? Why does Pegasus in that situation want to make an argument against him? Why would somebody in a situation like that want to be an argument against him? Right?
And by the way, Asmongold has responded, Ethan has responded. Hassan is apparently also making fun of Ozzy Osbourne's wife after he died. Very
That's non-political.
Very classy. The Nelk boys are in trouble for interviewing Netanyahu.
The Nelk boys are in trouble for interviewing Netanyahu. He's covering like political affairs. That is political. This is political. What would his vested interest be in covering, like, you know, an interview with Netanyahu, one of the most fucking, like, you know, polarizing individuals on earth, if not the most polarizing individual on earth right now.
And Hassan has found a way to make it about himself.
And Hassan has found a way to make it about himself, his politics, right? His interest, his connection to the Nelk boys, presumably, and you know what Benjamin Netanyahu stands for. That he's personally, that this is political, right? Even though he's not vocalizing it, he still wants to have a take on it. He still wants to have a discussion on it, presumably to attack character, you know, Hassan's character, off the back of these political occurrences. These are political discussions. This is a political video. As of 10 months ago, in the first 27 minutes, if that's his hook, that is already a political video.
Look like an idiot again. His arch nemesis Destiny has also responded. Tectone is beefing with Destiny, and a bunch.
Even if it's just kind of reviewing political content, not giving your own political takes makes it different. Does it? Even if you're not making a take, even if you're not forming an opinion or giving your opinion, you're making a video that is designed, that is designed to benefit, leverage, gain, you know, like whatever fucking word you want to use, right? Whatever word you want to use off of politics, it does make it political. Even if he doesn't give any of his own opinions throughout this video, which sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he just lets somebody else give his opinions for him, like Asmund Gold. He uses, like, when this is something Pegasus does a lot. If Pegasus doesn't want to make a claim, if he doesn't want to make an argument, if he doesn't want to say anything and just wants to make like a random fucking joke about haha, you know, SpongeBob, he just uses a clip and puts it in to argue against Hassan on his behalf. That is political. That is political. He is making the conscious effort to include that narrative piece, which means that on a certain level, he is interfacing with Hassan's arguments, or he is interfacing with the fucking, you know, politics. And he then is producing a video that is meant to discredit Hassan to the public, right? Which would be a political attack.
To more updates.
If most of his videos are under this format, which they are, calling him a political content creator is not at all a stretch.
Subscribe for the most entertaining entertainment in the...
And he just proves my point, right? And he just proves my point, right? Look, the most entertaining series, all the same formula, all the same process. I watched a bunch of this guy's videos on stream once and determined that they're literally all made the exact same way. His new videos are all made the exact same way. It is just political content.
Entertainment world. We even have filler.
I think no, any anti-Hassan argument. No, people who say that any argument against Hassan is like anti-Palestine, that is dumb. I do agree with that. I don't think that every single attack on Hassan is anti-Palestine. I don't think that every single attack on Hassan is anti-Palestine, but depending on who you're talking about and who you're referring to, you can argue depending on the intent, right? Depending on the intent, right? Let's say, for example, there's a Jewish individual out there whose vested interest relies solely on protecting, you know, Israel's reputation, and they make a lot of content saying that Israel really isn't that bad, right? And they go out of their way to, you know, silence Hassan talking about like the war crimes happening in Palestine, specifically for the intent of protecting, Palestine's reputation. You could say that their attacks on Hassan are anti-Palestine because they're trying to silence criticism on war crimes.
Episodes, would you believe that? Back to you, Jellywig.
Let's up those numbers!
And let's begin with Hassan once again being anti-Semitic. Here we have a clip.
Let's go talk about Hassan being anti-Semitic.
On Reddit, Hassan says that even the liberal Israelis are bloodthirsty, and when or if they leave, only inbred and uneducated are left.
There are two grave threats to Israel's existence, right? And it's not fucking Iran or Hezbollah or Hamas or anything like that, okay? The greatest threat to Israel's existence is Israelis themselves being like, yeah, fuck this shit. I don't feel I don't feel safe here at all. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Brooklyn. I'm leaving. I'm going to France. I'm leaving. I'm going to fucking the UK. When more and more liberal Israelis who are themselves...
Okay, by the way, entirely a political conversation being had right here between Hassan and his audience. If I made a vid on saying the Jew shit he said on this vid only talked about how bad the statement was, would you consider that anti-Palestine? Depends on your intent. No. Right? I would only call it anti-Palestine if you specifically like, you know, used it as a defense for like, you know, Israel's I want to say actions. But if you want to criticize anti-Semitism on the face of it, no, I wouldn't call that anti-Palestine at all. They have different intents, they have different purposes, right? If you were using that as a vehicle, if you were using that specifically like as a mask to defend Israel, right? And avoid like, you know, large scale criticism, you could call that anti-Palestine. But if it's just purely about a particular like anti-Jew or like anti like, you know, Semitic sentiment, then no, it would be impossible to call that anti-Palestinian.
Most likely bloodthirsty as well, okay, in terms of like how Israel has dealt with Gaza or whatever, but they don't like the negative consequences of Israel doing that, which is like the Iron Dome and its security perishing. You are left with a country that is packed to the fucking gills with the most inbred.
By the way, this isn't even untrue. He's talking about this from like a factual, you know, basis. This is not untrue, right? There's a lot of Israelis that migrated from all different parts of the, you know, of the world to seek like, you know, either new homes or new lives, or like, you know, maybe even you know, what's it called, asylum in their like, you know, promised land, right? In their homeland. And it is just an unfortunate reality that the large majority of people in Israel, due to like, you know, due to like they just are inbred. they just are inbred. Like a lot of Israelis are inbred. A lot of Israelis are like, you know, very, very much like, you know, connected to each other because they just have like a large culture of people like, you know, staying within their like own, you know, within their own cultural fucking circle, within their own like, you know, homogenous fucking circle. I don't know what you could say about that. He's not wrong.
Uneducated.
If you were to fucking say that all Israelis were fucking like inbred, right? That would be anti-Semitic, but what he's saying is that if like every Israeli like citizen who moved towards Israel and then like decides to move away because they feel threatened and unsafe, then the only people that would be left, yeah, they would be like, you know, inbred individuals that you know are staying there specifically because they are incredibly devoted to like, you know, only having you know, families within their you know, within their ethnic group and staying within their, you know, home turf.
Ultra nationalist, rabid Haredi population.
Right. So,
it depends on the context. If somebody made a video disagreeing with Hassan calling Jews inbred, insane, etc., would that be a political video? It depends on the context. If it's like, you know, purely because of racial attacks, then no, that would be like, again, a moral concern. But if it were because you know, but if it was because you're tying like, you know, like identity politics into it, like you should not be racist as a left leaner, you should not be racist as a progressive, then yeah, that would make it political. If you're just taking a strict moral, like, you know, boundary, saying that he shouldn't say these things because they are racist and they are bad for like, you know, for whatever moral reason you have, then it depends on the explicit fucking context, and it depends on the intent. It depends on like the goal. It depends on like, you know, after that, the work might be transformed into it being political depending on how people react to it and how people like, you know, view it, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that by itself the intent was political. I feel like if I said that about any other race or religion, I would be racist or Islamophobic. It depends on how you say it. It depends on who you say it to. It depends on like how you contextualize it, right? Yeah, saying this would be Islamophobic depending on how you say it. Saying this would be anti-Semitic depending on how he said it. If he said specifically that every single Israeli is you know, inbred, and they're inbred because like, you know, is like because Jews are known for like fucking being like, you know, gross incestuous like retards, yeah, that would be anti-Semitic. And to an extent, I feel that Hassan might be you know, anti-Semitic because I feel like those are things that he would like legitimately argue. But it's also not like they come from nowhere, right? It's also not like they come from nowhere. These beliefs come from like, you know, historical documentation.
Bro just went.
I buy the statement, replace Israel with Muslims and read it out. I feel like if I said about any race, I guess it's a sweep for Muslims in this video. I would agree with this pretty. I mean, I feel like the argument remains the same.
Went completely mask off for a couple minutes there. So according to him, all Israelis, including liberal Israelis, you know, a little bit of friendly fire there, are bloodthirsty and inbred. Now, inbred, if you didn't know, is breeding with your own family, you know, incest. So I'm just thinking.
By the way, the fact, okay, this by itself, the ignorance on its own, that Pegasus right here is displaying, is actually political, and here is why, right? Yeah, you could call this slop, and the ignorance itself is slop, but the fact that he's like, you know, making a passive defense of Israel in this case without realizing it, right? It is political. He's making a political defense of Israel right here. The reason why is because had he actually be an informed individual, he would know that the vast majority of like, you know, home like grown Israelites do have a you know, an inbreeding situation going on, to put it as lightly as possible. And it just so happens that Israel is like, you know, Israel does, through like, you know, through their government, does have a heavy propaganda machine that promotes like, you know, a homogenous culture, that promotes a primarily like, you know, I want to say what's the fucking word? Homogenous is as close as it gets, but it promotes like a very like Israeli nationalist culture, meaning that anybody who's not Israeli, anybody who's not Jewish, anybody who's not like their fucking, you know, race is like, you know, inferior to them. They do have like propaganda that says that Israelis are, you know, above the you know, fucking other people outside of their perimeter. They just do have that type of culture, right? So that teaches kids, it teaches people raised in Israel since they're young to be incredibly incredibly xenophobic, right? It teaches them to be incredibly like self-interested. It teaches them to be incredibly anti I want to say people outside their, you know, their immediate culture. And sometimes these people will respond with violence. They wish they were Israelites, they're Israelis. But yeah, it does make them like, you know, it does make these people like, you know, interested in racial violence. Racial violence is a very well documented thing in Israel, right? But like the reason why Hassan is saying these things and why they're not, you know, illegitimate is because racial violence is a big issue that is like learned really early on due to you know, Israeli Hasbara, and it just so happens that a bunch of Israeli individuals happen to be fucking, you know, inbred, because they choose to only procreate within their, you know, like, you know, their own culture and their own, like, you know, bloodlines. Where are you getting inbreeding in Israeli Jews being high? Let's see. Unless that's a misconception. Is inbreeding is incest rather? Where are the numbers on that? Let's see. Hold on. This is strictly forbidden in Jewish law. The Torah outlines extensive restrictions. Well, of course, it's strictly forbidden. What about thank you for pointing that out. I might just have to fact check myself on that. Hold on. Ashkenazi Jews have a distinct genetic profile primarily because of two historical factors: severe population bottlenecks and centuries of endogamy, marrying within the community. Rather than widespread direct inbreeding, such as first cousin marriages, these factors created a small ancestral gene pool. Today, this shared ancestry means the average Ashkenazi Jewish person shares significant stretches of identical DNA, making them roughly 30th cousins. Around 600 to 800 years ago, the Ashkenazi population. Okay, so it was my misconception. It is my misconception then. So yeah, Ashkenazi Jews. That was my misconception. All right, so yeah, I do have to correct myself there. Where are the numbers on that? Seems like from what I'm seeing, yeah, it seems that it was just my misconception of Ashkenazi Jews being like very very closely related because of like in culture marriages, right? So I misconcepted the marrying within your own culture in your own ethnic groups as all of it being like Israeli. That's not the case. It would be just between Ashkenazi Jews. So thank you for the correction on that. But again, if anything, it just goes back to like a concession that I made earlier, where Hassan, by saying that it is kind of like playing into like an anti-Semitic stereotype. There is a little bit of anti-Semitism there, but he's not 100% incorrect to be like suggesting some of these things.
Like, imagine saying that about
Bacon is a smart fella. Bacon is a really, really smart fella. He just doesn't really like, engaging with from what I remember about Except Bacon a while back, he much prefers like the mellow, laid back content more so than like the fucking political intellectual bullshit, right? Pseudo intellectual bullshit, right? But he is a smart individual. Calling any religious people inbred is like a microaggression, yeah.
Other group of people, bro. I just feel like that's a bit insane. And this is genuinely how bold they've.
Yeah. I would definitely say that not even on a minor scale, on a pretty notable scale, Hassan definitely might be a little bit racist, or just straight up racist. But again, as I said, most people are probably like fucking hella racist. I don't even care that people are racist. I've come to like that determination a while back. I don't care that people are racist so long as they don't like act on it. You like, for example, you can be like, as I said yesterday, you can be racist, and you can be like, I'm not gonna treat this person any differently, even though I fucking like obviously view them differently because of the color of their skin or their heritage. But anyways, read message. I think the region part is like super religious people, yeah.
Actually gotten just
I think it is fair to say that Hassan calling Israeli Jews inbred is politically inflammatory and bigoted. Yes.
Openly saying this shit.
I feel like I'm trying to do too much defense for Hassan. I feel like there is in this whole like shift of internet culture that despite Hassan not being nearly as bad as people like claim him to be, there is a little bit too much hesitation to like criticize him where it's due. Right? I do think that Hassan is a racist individual. He lets that mask slip quite a bit, and I do think that he is a very 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 like impatient, potentially like almost man-child type figure. Does that make him like dislike? Does that make me dislike him the way that I used to? No, absolutely not. I'm just finding like a personal like opinionated middle ground. I don't think Hassan is saying it from a racist place though. I think he's pointing out how ethno-supremacist to inbred. Yes, that's my main argument as well. I'm not sure if you were around for like the last 30 to 40 minutes. That is my primary argument as well. But I do think that part of it is Hassan like also. I think that okay. Let me put it this way so that I don't fucking like put a whole word salad. I do think that Hassan to a certain extent does have does get a little bit of like what's the fucking word I in my head canon is that Hassan gets like a little bit of catharsis from being aggressive towards the idea of like Jews being inbred or like not Jews but like Israelis being inbred and like bloodthirsty, right? I do think that there are some things that he takes liberty to be more aggressive about because he does have like a level of personal I feel like he's justifying himself, but he does have that racism. He's being insulting with a touch of justification, just funny and mean. I think that's the best way of putting it. I think Hassan is less racist than most. Sure, I think that Hassan is less racist than most, but I do not think that he is I don't think that he's incapable of being criticized for for racism. I think that most people are racist, and some people just do a better job of not letting that racism influence how they treat other people.
not even trying to hide it. And I'm just trying to imagine like the other side of his, his viewers watching this. How are they going to react to this? The nonstop propaganda, literally just being force-fed.
The nonstop propaganda being force-fed. This is a political take, by the way. Right? This is a political take. The nonstop propaganda. You're identifying this guy's political views as propaganda, and you're saying that he's force-feeding said propaganda into individuals. That is a political remark. Okay, but what are you criticizing specifically? Just the inbred comment? So to give you a little bit of a TLDR, this chatter, Jacob, got me on a little bit of like a fucking, rabbit hole. Well, not rabbit hole, on a dialogue, right? Where he said that me criticizing Pegasus or, basically the argument goes that he thought that my criticism against Pegasus being a political commentator was dumb simply because he makes fun of Hassan. My counter argument is that I think Pegasus is inherently a political streamer because he does take the opportunity to attack Hassan, not of things that are apolitical, but things that are inherently political. And when he is attempting to discredit Hassan for these political comments, right, that are political in nature, him influencing the perception of Hassan and his politics is by itself, in and of itself, a political commentary, right? So I think that more Pegasus is inherently political because of the style of content that he makes. And the ignorant sort of slapdash commentary that he provides specifically to discredit somebody off their politics. So basically, to make it very, very simple, Hassan says something political. More Pegasus thinks it's fucking stupid. He goes out to want to discredit Hassan off the back of the politics that he thinks are stupid. Even though Pegasus is saying like just absolute fucking bullshit, nothing, unintelligible fucking gibber, it doesn't make it apolitical. It just means that the way that he's influencing the political sphere of it is just very, very mind-numbing and hard to parse, and most people aren't going to interface with that because they lack media analysis.
These beliefs by Hassan all the time.
And this comment right here is political, right? This comment right here in and of itself is political. So what got me started on this tangent of Hassan being like racist is that Hassan, like Pegasus, is making a political argument by attacking Hassan on his claims about Israel and Israelis being inbred and being like bloodthirsty, right? So I'm offering like a middle ground. While it can be true that Hassan may be anti-Semitic, right? The reason why Pegasus would want to specifically attack that from this angle almost immediately off the bat would be because he has a vested interest in, attacking Hassan's politics and political commentary, which, even though it doesn't come from a political perspective from Pegasus, it is political commentary nonetheless.
I feel like you're just going to end up being anti-Semitic.
I'm up with you until you can see that Hassan is anti-Semitic.
Also,
I won't concede that because there's always the possibility that Hassan might have like a very, very deep identity-based, rooted personal, like antithetical position towards, towards Semitic people. Like most people, right? For example, like white people, Asian people, right? Most people probably internalize their identity and think negatively of other races because they're not the same race. Right, and I feel like we see this manifest subconsciously when people decide to only marry within their own groups. Like for example, Hispanic people will primarily marry Hispanic people. Black people will primarily marry black people. It's just common. I think that a lot of people do have that very, very minor prejudice. And since Hassan is I want to say Arab, or is Arab correct, or a Muslim rooted individual, if that's the correct way to say it, I think he might have a very identity based anti-Semitic, feeling towards people, but I don't think he would ever fucking act on it in the sense that he actually hates Jews, right? And it's a useless statement. I'm just saying that it wouldn't even be incorrect to say that he probably has more of it than most people would like to admit. It's on the one calling him anti-Semitic to demonstrate that. I mean, yeah. If I were if I were to make a very, very definite claim, if I were to publish, no, that's gay. What I'm saying is bad faith. I guess it's just a personal, it's more so a personal belief. It's more so of a personal belief where I'm I'm scratching my chin right now. I'm scratching my chin right now. I'm you know what? If I had to bet money on it, he's probably super anti-Semitic, in his fucking brain. He just never lets it, known, right? That's more so what I'm doing right now, based on his ethnicity. I just think that a lot of people are more prejudiced than they lead on. I think that's this isn't even exclusive to Hassan. You're right, right? If you're saying everyone is anti-Semitic, it's a useless statement. Yeah, this isn't even exclusive to Hassan. I'm just saying that generally people are just fucking racist, and to pretend that Hassan isn't racist even a little bit, probably incorrect. But yeah, ultimately it is a useless statement because all I'm basically saying is, yeah, he's probably racist, right? But like, fuck, I mean, so are you, so am I, and so are like the vast majority of other people.
So I love how he
also
said,
sympathetic Turk. I don't know exactly what like Hassan's like actual cultural or like racial identification would be. At that point, I will like just straight up say that I am speaking out of my ass. I'm just like drawing. I'm just drawing like I want to say things that I've heard to make a point. That's not what people mean when they call Hassan anti-Semitic. Yeah, that's not what people mean when they call Hassan anti-Semitic, but that's not what I'm implying either. That's not what I'm implying either, right? Me personally, that's not what I'm implying. He's from Turkey, is he not? I think he was born in the United States. His parents are from Turkey. I'm not implying that Hassan is anti-Semitic in the way that like people suggest he is, as in he wants to dismantle Jewish people and dismantle like Israel and have them face extreme repercussions simply for being like Jewish or Israeli, right? Or simply for being Zionist even. I don't think like he's anti-Semitic in that sense, right? I just think that there probably is a little bit of a what's the word? I think that there is a little bit of a bias or I definitely do think that there's probably just like something there that he just doesn't like, that most people have, right? I'm not claiming that he's anti-Semitic in the sense that like he's just a fucking like racist monster, bigoted monster that wants to like go out and see fucking Jewish people suffer.
says that all the threats.
That's why I was making like the inbred argument earlier, right? Because it doesn't come. The argument that he's making doesn't come from nowhere. He's not saying it purely off of like a fucking like he's not saying it purely off of as an anti-Semitic attack. He's saying it because there are deep-rooted things historically that led into these conclusions being made, right? Ashkenazi Jews are very known for like sharing close relatives because of what you could loosely call inbreeding. And it is true that there is a lot of like Israeli-based propaganda that kids in Israel grow up with, as well as like indoctrinations that kid grow up with to like be very very anti foreigners, be very very xenophobic, bias based off of him being Turkish. But it's just not him, it's just not him. Like I would probably have that same vibe for like most people. I would probably have like that same like vibe for most people based on the color of their skin, including fucking Mexicans, including white people.
Israel are not Iran, right? The people posting AI videos stroking a nuclear bomb. Their government who literally wants to nuke Israel. That's not the.
Yeah, but like Israel would want to do this the exact same towards Palestine. They're just not very vocal about it.
Problem, guys.
Actually, you know what? Israel is very vocal about it. It's just not very publicized because it would go against their best interest, globally.
Also not the problem.
Also, this is like 2-3 fucking minutes in. This is extremely political. This is a fucking extremely political, like what's it called, commentary that he just gave there. This is an extremely fucking political comment that Pegasus gave there. His content is political. Yet Pegasus wants to sit here and like mask under the the guise that he's an apolitical content creator, which is just not fucking true, right? So he should be forced to debate Hassan if he's out here fucking like making narrative pieces like these that make people like sympathize with the opposite side of the fucking politics.
Hassan also needs to keep asking him to come on his stream to talk or debate and call him a coward if he declines. Why would I debate? I'm not a political person. I don't give a fuck about your politics. I mean, you cannot keep making hundreds of videos about Hassan and then be afraid to have a friendly... It's going to be a friendly conversation with Hassan, of course. Mr. Lying is OP. Videos about Hassan and then be afraid to have a friendly... It's going to be a debate. I'm not a political person.
I'm not a political person. You are though. You are though. Maybe not. Maybe you don't know how you are because you're a complete fucking moron that doesn't know how to introspect. But like he is a political individual. He just doesn't realize it, or he does realize it and he just wants to like feign, ignorance so that he doesn't have to participate in the conversation. But given the fact that he does make so much fucking political, commentary, and given the fact that most of his political commentary is implicit and he's done like 300 episodes of it over the course of the last fucking year, then of course it is only fair for somebody like him who has like benefited so much from like political dissent. It is only fair for him to engage in an argument with Hassan. It is only fair for him to engage in a debate. Him pretending like he shouldn't be held to that account because he's not a political individual is fucking retarded. It's just bullshit, right? That's like me going out and threatening people and expecting not to get fucking punched because I'm like because I'm not I didn't actually like swing, right? And eventually I'm gonna get punched if I scream at people enough. Then that's just what's gonna happen.
Right? The people posting AI videos stroking a nuclear bomb. Their government who literally wants...
This is a political claim. This is a political take. This is a political opinion.
...wants to nuke Israel.
That is political.
Well, that's not the problem, guys. It's also not the problem of the terrorist org trying to kill Israelis. Don't criticize the...
That is also like strictly political commentary right now.
Terrorists I support, guys. That don't look at them. They're
strictly political commentary.
Actually innocent. The real problem is Israelis themselves.
Strictly political commentary.
Of course. How could I be so stupid? Here's what people are saying. Don't tell Hassan about Turkey. The 2013 National Survey of Turkish...
When he was reading an article about Cuba, he skipped over the part where it explained the energy crisis due to the U.S. sanctions and just read an opinion from a random diasporoid. Sorry, why the fuck did I show to say that word? Diasporoid blaming communism. Okay, so let me explain to Jacob why that is actually significantly more political than anything else. If he is purposely omitting information about things that he doesn't align with, right? Because it might give him like a negative sentiment. If he had read that in a video and said like how U.S. is the primary cause of the Cuban energy crisis, right? Because of like the fucking sanctions put on there. Him refusing to comment on that, him refusing to make that known, is actually him playing into propaganda. That is his own form of propagandism by being like willfully negligent, conveniently negligent of very important information as to why people in the United States should be concerned about Cuba and the way that the USA interferes with other countries, right? Him avoiding that discussion is political. It is him maintaining a narrative agenda. It is him maintaining a narrative. It is him maintaining a status quo, which is political inherently, right? Pegasus is a political individual. It's just that he will never fucking admit it because it jeopardizes his position in the fucking like commentary scene, because he would then be forced to be a target of attack for people against his fucking political commentary or lack thereof.
Women aged 15 to 65 found 18 point...
I feel like we're putting a lot of requirements on even Chris. Well, no. The requirements. We're not putting the requirements anywhere. Those requirements are already there. It's just that a lot of people never interface with them because they don't realize they're there. They're too busy being ignorant. They're too busy living purely on ignorance. They don't realize that sometimes it is within their best interest to be aware of something, right? And again, as I explained earlier, a lot of people will refuse to be aware of something because they don't want to be conflicted when it comes to like their identity and how how politics may interfere with their identity. Why would you want to choose to be left-leaning if it might jeopardize your relationship with right-leaning, family members? Or why would you want to choose to be right-leaning if it might jeopardize your relationship with left-leaning, friendships that you have, right? A lot of people are not going to jeopardize their what's it called, their status quo.
5% has had I guess this is incestual marriages, of which 57.
Hold on, I need to read the rest of that. Or I don't even criticize the political takes without doing a historic breakdown on why a lot of retarded YouTubers. But if I don't agree, because the fault for stuff, I don't really agree with it. But if the U.S. is a quote for, then I mean, if you don't agree, you would have to argue why it isn't. And if you try to argue why it isn't, you would have a very difficult time explaining why, because once you start doing the research, you'll realize that U.S. is a primary antagonist in the Cuban, energy crisis, right? Tell me, like, okay, if Cuba is allowed to trade with other countries that are not strictly bound by like the United States presence as a global superpower, right? Then the only thing that is like really making other countries that are aligned with the United States, the only thing that is stopping other countries from trading with Cuba is the U.S. because of their because of alliances and because like the United States power is a global superpower. Then how isn't the U.S. responsible? How is the U.S. not responsible? Right? How can you argue against that? You can't. Because eventually the only natural conclusion that you will make is that the U.S. is heavily responsible for intervening and, like, you know, messing up like the natural order of we're not messing up the natural order, but like messing up like the balance of other nations.
8% were first cousin unions. The UNICEF report.
I think I said, Missy, I think I said specifically that him intentionally skipping it is him feeding into like the status quo, narrativized propaganda or propaganda, a narrative that keeps the United States away from the discussion, which in and of itself, because of the propaganda that keeps the USA away from the discussion, it would make it inherently political. You are feeding the political narrative that the U.S. has no involvement in that, stuff like that.
It's a 13.3%.
Jake Simi XO raid. Jimmy XO, dude, I'm about to end too. I was gonna raid him. I was gonna fucking raid him. Can you tell him to go live again? I mean, I appreciate the raid. It does mean a lot, but I was gonna raid him. Yeah, and if you're constantly criticized, yes, yeah, but that's implicit, right? That's like on the nose, right? Missy, that is on the nose of it. If you are somebody who's constantly taking attacks on Hassan, right, you should at least be aware why you want to attack him. You should at least know why you're attacking him in the first place instead of just following the popular bandwagon. I feel like my tweet implied that. Pegasus should be forced to debate. He claims to be apolitical and not make political content, as if that's a good excuse to avoid a debate, but fails to realize that most of his content is inherently political, as it's all misinformed critiques of Hassan's politics. That is politics.
Percent of women in the Middle East were married before the age of 18 and
but if I didn't give my political take, I feel like I'm not saying it's the U.S. fault. It makes it different than saying it's not. I would agree it's political though. Well, I mean, just so we don't get distracted from the main point. Saying it's not the U.S.'s fault is a political take first and foremost, right? And if you disagree that it is the United States' fault, you would have to prove why that's why you disagree. You would have to prove why your statement is more correct.
various countries like Sudan, 25% of women are married before the age of 15. Over 700,000 children.
I feel I'm not even agitated at Jacob. Jacob is actually stimulating my discussion here. I feel like when somebody's genuinely asking questions and not being fucking agitating, it's interesting.
Children are forced into marriages in the Middle East. Doesn't Pakistan also have a huge marriage rate between cousins? I can't believe people are bringing up statistics when you're dealing with Hassan. He obviously doesn't operate in that field. It's like a fifth dimension for him. It just doesn't exist, you know? For a guy, there's a quite decent chance that one of his ancestors only had one set of grandparents in recent memory. He probably needs to stop calling others inbred. Remember when the Turks genocided the Armenians? How is this guy not permabanned? See if Twitch likes him and Amazon doesn't give a damn? Right, so I don't really know the accuracy of any of those statistics or what exactly.
I don't really know the accuracy of any of this, but I'm going to give my take on it anyways, so that I could fucking maintain the status quo of the people that I align with.
Exactly, like who
How do you not call any of this political? He's just saying literally in these 4 minutes, every single argument that I made is just proven correct. Every single argument that I made is proven correct. He's giving a political take, right? But it's a political take based purely on fucking ignorance, right? Which is the means to discredit somebody because he doesn't know how to interface with the politics. And then he just confirms that he doesn't know how to fucking interface with the politics. So he's inadvertently giving fucking he's inadvertently just feeding the fucking propaganda of right-leaning politics. Yeah, and then bringing up political events as a gotcha against Hassan. Although he's not doing it himself, he's interfacing with it and bringing it up from other people. This is nothing but fucking political commentary. This is all of these videos are nothing but political slop. He should be forced to contend with criticism. He should be forced to engage with discussion if this is the type of content that he makes.
Actually is inbred, who's not, but I feel like he definitely meant it in a anti-Semitic way, right? He's basically trying to look down on all Israelis, essentially, right? So anyways, Asmongold responded.
And you were banned for less. I feel like if I said that, I would get in trouble.
The most inbred, uneducated, rabid Haredi population.
That's crazy.
On the other hand, you have obviously ISIS, which is, this terror cell that seemingly never attacks Israel and only kills Muslims. Weirdly enough, okay? Don't know what that's about. I'm not going to point any fingers here.
I'm not gonna say
I'm not going to point any fingers here.
the race of the.
I've been enjoying myself, but unfortunately, I do want to wake up early and take my cat to the vet one more time to check up on her previous diagnosis, just to make sure that she's fine. So I'm gonna be ending stream right now. I was gonna end like an hour or two ago, but I decided to keep going just because I was like very entertained by the you know, the fucking the builder and like Pegasus stuff after the fact. But I appreciate you all being here, of course. Always very much appreciated. Thank you guys for, you know, being around, giving me a little bit of a, you know, chat engagement. I do like, you know, primarily having conversations and yapping. It does mean a lot. That being said, thank you for, you know, the memberships, for the likes. I will go ahead and send you out to my goat Rezi. I'm going to bed, guys.